Market poised to open higher here to start the day, week, and month. Happy June, everyone. Here's the S&P 500. As you can see, a little bit of a gap up here. We'll switch over to the NASDAQ, also gapping to the upside. Now, USO, interestingly enough, also much stronger as traders continue to digest the possibility of this conflict ending and when potentially that could be. But of course, the biggest story here moving the market, and specifically a lot of these tech names across a variety of subsectors of tech. NVDA here, Jensen Huang once again proving that he and his leather jacket can do a keynote like nobody else. Had that keynote last night in Taipei, Taiwan, and making tons of announcements specifically involving personal computing and AI chips. So there's lots to discuss just from this conference alone. I think about half of our watch list is just different names moving in different directions and for different reasons as a result of last night's big keynote. Now we know Computex Taipei also happening all week, so there's lots to discuss from that as well. We also had Qualcomm CEO Cristiano Amon with a keynote last night, or rather this morning in Taiwan time. So lots to discuss today, Sharif.
Yes, absolutely, Adara. Good morning, everyone. Very interesting headline from Jensen Huang in Taipei regarding getting into AI PCs. According to Jensen, this could be the next big push of a cyclical upgrade in the PC business as we look more to on-device inference. A lot of names moving this morning on the back of that headline. You have ARM 11 3/4, Microsoft, who's actually teaming up here with Nvidia to create this custom CPU, also markedly up this morning to the tune of 4%. As that name continues to run. Dell also looking to take on Apple with a cheaper entry-level PC. Much like Apple, they have very customized pricing for students and regular customers. IBM absolutely ripping up here, 11.25%. Likewise with CoreWeave, who also got the latest Vera Rubin CPU rack from Dell, that Michael Dell taking an X and basically putting it on there. And you're getting a lot of names in the software space, Adara, that are making big moves. You have ServiceNow up 9.5% and CRM as well, also up a little over 6%.
Yeah, there's a lot to discuss for sure. I do want to also mention new news just coming out here for MGM Resorts International. CNBC reporting that Barry Diller is going to be making an $18 billion bid for MGM. So to kind of get out of the tech space for a second, there is MGM. Microsoft, as Sharif just mentioned here, also on watch with the Nvidia collaboration. But they have their Microsoft Build conference, which kicks off tomorrow. And according to Axios, we're expected to hear more about the Nvidia collaboration from them at the Build event. In the meantime, we're very excited to welcome Sean back here at the big desk this morning. Sean and Neil, good morning. How are your weekends?
Excellent, and even better with the way the market's looking, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, man. I said to Neil, like, IBM's up 11%. Like, we bought that a couple weeks ago with that quantum news, and then it's just like gone right now is IBM, and finally taking out. And you know, we're seeing Microsoft trying to go, and there's that high from IBM that is now broken out. Like, honestly, like, I don't know. I feel like buying good companies at depressed prices is the name of the game. I mean, it's not rocket science when it acts like this, but we're in like a pretty much a frenzied market here, it seems like. And, you know, some stocks going the other way around. And you mentioned even, you have it up right there, but Palantir, I'll leave it with you. But that's going higher here. AMD's trying to battle a little bit back, man. That got to 492. We'll see if this goes back again. And I need to adjust my mic cable.
Well, the market's so hot, it's frying our mics apparently this morning. That's just, it is what it is. You know, you're covering the markets and you see this explosion and there's going to be some casualties out there. Palantir had a monster day on Friday. This is the problem. It's only up 3.5%. It's like, oh, you're only up 3.5%? There's so much actually moving more than this. We talked about this Nvidia move, I mean, bolstering ARM, because, I mean, let's be real. You don't make any kind of a device without ARM technology, and it hit 4. I saw 410. But at 411, it looks like is the high, pulling back a little bit here, and that's looking just insanely strong. Oh, the other thing that happened, you still have SoFi. Like some of the things from last week too. Let's not forget, right? SoFi stablecoin news that was up. That's another 2 points today. If you happen to care about FedEx, don't freak out. Your FedEx stock is cheaper because you now will also own FedEx Freight. So FDXF will be trading for the first time today. So. You know what's amazing is, we always joke around about our charts not having the split adjusted, But they do, whenever there's a spin-off, they get the percentage right. So so it actually correctly states that despite the fact that FedEx is like 333 now, it's actually up 1% when you factor in the FedEx freight deal. So unfortunately, that good news for ARM and NVIDIA is weighing on AMD and Intel a little bit. Right? Like that's in competition for them, 6 points to the downside. So what are you going to do? The big dog comes into your game, and usually that's going to mean some selling. And it's June. We know what happens this month. We know what happens this month. We get SpaceX this month, which everybody is highly anticipating. Oh, and Friday at the close. Let's just say there were some rather large imbalances on NVIDIA and Intel. Oddly enough, Intel also got sold off.
Oh, and did it?
So both those tanking. AMD was upside. So this was Intel at the close with a big sell imbalance. NVIDIA had a similar one, just even bigger. And then AMD was a buy imbalance. Microsoft, I believe, was also a buy. AMD to the upside. But none of those moves, they matter for that 10 minutes, right? Like, it's not really reflective on what's going to happen to the stock, as you can see. Right? Like, NVIDIA is now up, AMD is now down. Crazy moves, and you'll see some big numbers when we check out real trading as well, because the close was pretty big.
Oh yeah, okay, we'll have to check that out. But that was not expected, was it, or was it a rebound?
Well, it was MSCI.
Oh, okay.
So month end and MSCI, so obviously got some big.
We want to thank everybody that's part of our chat, of course. And here we go again. We want to thank the Hi Trader. Hi Trader, how are you? 5 Trader TV Live gifted memberships, and we've already some people's taking it over here. Mark Stone, Joe's boy over here, got one. Daniel got one. Raj got one. Stryker got one. And the Balostos 5 got one as well. So shout out to everybody doing the best they can to watch us here. And this is also a week of cybersecurity names again, because Palo Alto is going to come with a report, right? We have CrowdStrike. Like some of these names just, like, look at this. This is now we thought April was pretty awesome. You know, how about May right there? May and Palo Alto and CrowdStrike. Really, we had Zscaler get a little bit of a down push and downdraft last week on their report. But I mean, look at some of these names, man. I mean, this is just now $736 for CrowdStrike. That is absolutely unbelievable. The weekend went real well. I want to show you guys something here. This is my daughter in the middle here. And this is what wound up happening they played up at York Canlan, where the York Lions play. So it's a university there. And it was really good. That's her in the middle right there. And I was really proud of her. She led the tournament in goals. So we're really excited for that one. And that's her right there in the middle. So shout out this was just a spring travel team. So they were called, I think, the Snow Leopards or Shadow Cats or something like that. Anyways, congratulations to them. I
guess they're kind of similar.
I don't even know what it was, but that's what we were doing this weekend. Plus 3 baseball games. So 5 hockey games, 3 baseball games. Okay, what? Ford? Okay. I mean, is Ford going again? I don't know if it is or not. We'll have to look that up. VCIG flying around there, and then SMCI. Nicole wants to know about. I think SMCI, I don't know, you guys saw that day on Dell. Dell put up 102 points there and up 32%, pulling back a little bit. But Dell, what a number that Dell had. On Thursday night.
Ford might not be doing anything today, but obviously respect to the run that they've got going on. And then you mentioned SMCI. It's oddly enough, like there's very few chip-based names that are doing literally nothing today. Unfortunately, SMCI happens to be one of them, but that sympathy to Dell was pretty good the last couple of sessions. But it's right back to where it was at the close. The other one, VCIG. Of course, it's at $9. That was interesting on Friday. I don't think I've ever seen. We always talk about the market, sort of having some weird tendencies, and people like to say that, this is controlled and that's controlled. But the timing of the move to $9 was pretty hilarious. So thank you guys for the fun on Friday. We enjoyed it. It's right back at that same price. I don't know if the volume's pretty low on this runner today. And you saw it rug in the afternoon. So I'm not really sure this is going to be that big of it in play, but good luck if you're still holding on. Obviously, it's doing really well. We have another headline: U.S. forces intercepted 2 Iranian ballistic missiles last night, targeting American forces based in Kuwait. Yeah, well, USO's up 2.5%, and the market's doing its best to not care.
You guys ate pineapple pizza? Is that what Ozan's saying?
Well, see, what had happened was, remember there was that stock in the afternoon, and someone had said,
VCIG it was.
and someone had, so it was on Thursday.
How do you get
someone
20
put
bucks?
in 9 or 20. So I basically told everybody, I'm like, look, $20 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This stock wasn't doing anything in the morning. I go, this stock isn't getting to $9. So I said that in the morning.
To 11.
And then that turned into the bet. It was not moving.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, right before like the lesson of the day, it halts up. Then halts up again right at 12 o'clock and then opens at 12 at 9:50. So like right when I'm doing lesson of the day is exactly when it gets to the stupid $9. And then we got sent in, there's probably still a box around here somewhere. So we actually had...
Oh, someone sent in pizza.
We had pizza sent in from, what was the name of the spot? It was really, really good. Olive. I didn't know this joint. Really good pizza, except for the pineapple pizza, which was disgusting. We have another super chat here. We've got Alan. Alibaba, is it time to buy? Well, from value, it's always time. The problem with Alibaba is still a Chinese company. So, your guess is as good as anybody's. We just recently had the Chinese government take aim, and not specifically, it wasn't specifically at Alibaba, it was at fintechs, but it just reminded everybody how precarious the situation is there for any private company. So at the end of the day, for Alibaba, valuation is fantastic compared to anyone else in the space. But I think you're having to play this weird long game where hopefully we'll get back into favor. And it doesn't really have too much going for it outside of really that it's a fantastic value compared to any of its North American peers. But the sentiment just is not good for the Chinese names. Maybe the war needs to end. There needs to be more U.S.-China talk after that happens. I suppose that could give you a little something. I'm personally just waiting for lower to get interested again, or break this downtrend, which hasn't happened either. So for me, what are you gonna do?
I just think there's such a big, huge boon right now in U.S. technology.
Yeah.
Like you don't really need to get into Alibaba, but I do think, as Neil said, depressed. They're doing big things over there. We heard Jensen talk about he thought that Huawei was going to be the leader there in China. So Huawei might be a better bet, but you can't invest in that here in the U.S. unless there's an OTC name. But I never see Huawei. My wife just sent me this. This was me not yelling. This is me telling all the girls, once IBM breaks its 330, it's probably going to moon. And you guys are all pretty young, so you might want to get into some SoFi. So I was trying to tell these girls about what they were trying to do. You can see here, she's not that interested over here. But yeah, that was one of the girls. We had a couple girls events, and then I was at Hyde Park. So Hyde Park is obviously quite lovely. There as well. But there's USO. I was just going to show you guys, we talk about Iran and we talk about Pakistan and, that source right there, that intercepting missiles. Not good as far as that is concerned. So oil today now upside a little bit here. You can see USO was sort of on the move back down in. I still think there's a pretty good opportunity for an epic flush. It's just that has to be ignited by some of these global instabilities or hopefully stability. And right now, you're at the 50-period moving average, up 2.5%. Not great, but also not horrid. We'll see if oil can pull itself back upside there for people that are long. Up 2.5%. We'll see if it keeps on going and going and going and going. Oh my God, the super chats are not stopping right now. There's Hi Trader. Hi Trader, how are you again? I'm just gonna put it, okay, you got it. Okay, I was gonna put it up, but you got it there. All right, $40 billion market cap, in one day. Yeah, that makes about right. There, anytime MU moves, any kind of percentage points now that it's over $1 trillion, there it is, you got it written on there. So yeah, 1.13 trillion demand's unstoppable. I know, yes. So to answer your question, up to $1,500, yes. It's impossible to say no right now. That still says USO, hit enter. There it is, so there's Micron there, 1,003. To put a multiple on it, I think that you're probably pretty close. You're talking about where demand is. We just heard that the S&P 500 over the last quarter put $10 of earnings on. the board. So you do 10 times 4 right there. That's $40 on the S&P 500 this year. Put a $20 multiple on it, and the S&P 500 should be at $800 more, 800 points, sorry, more than it is right now. So if you add, let's just consider that 200's already in it. So if you give 600 more to that, that's 8,200 for the ES. If we continue with earnings the way they were in the first quarter, if that continues out, then you should have the ES at about 8,400 or so, if those multiples ring true. And if the ES is going to go higher, the NASDAQ's probably also going higher. Micron's earnings have no reason not to go higher. Obviously, it's a well-covered name, so the upgrades will still come through. And I think price targets get raised, and the stock price will rise. So I think Micron does have a good possibility of that. And, you know, if you told me 3 days ago that this name was at $750 and it would be at $1,000 already, that's the exact same move you need. So you just need that move again to get to 1,500. Well, that move happened last week. So to say 1,500, you might even be light on that guess. So I don't know. I mean, Jensen came out and talked about computers just now. We saw, I mean, look at this name, right? I mean, now it's under 400. Boo, you ARM. But we just bought this one at 200. We thought we were doing pretty good getting some out at 300, and now all of a sudden it's at 400. So, you know, these names with the compute just keep on going higher and higher here. And, you know, NVIDIA's the big dog that's definitely continuing to bark. So I don't really think there's anything stopping that Micron trade.
Oh, and speaking of NVIDIA, the dog that begins to bark, well, it's good to be named next to NVIDIA because FLNC, Fluence, they of the 38% short float developed a reference architecture for NVIDIA, DSX, Vera Rubin, NVL 72 AI data centers. They're up 21 points here. So if you're looking at small gappers today, you're still talking about NVIDIA one way or another. So watch out for this FLNC. 38% short float.
Kaboom.
Yeah, and breaking out. So, and when you look at this one, this is obviously not one of those like, you know, pump and dump small cappers here. Like it's got a little bit more juice to it. 1.4 million, doing pretty good relative volume as well here in the pre-market. So that's definitely one to watch. I know the small cappers are going to be watching that. Well, I assume the gap traders are going to be watching that one. And Rashidi just said, why is BTC dumping? Any news that I missed? Well, Bitcoin's been relatively weak for a while. That's the best way to think about it. It has not been strong whatsoever. We've seen it, even in the pre-market on Friday, it was just gliding lower, and it's done this several times before. But no new headlines that I've seen. Just continued weakness where it's always been. Back up to the desk.
We're going to take a moment to thank our friends here at AMSS, Amass Brand Groups. They are trading on NASDAQ under the ticker AMSS. They are a beverage platform which is focused on fast-growing categories, including non-alcoholic, functional, and premium alcohol beverages. Its portfolio includes brands like Good Twin, non-alcoholic wine, Summer Water Rosé, and Cali Rosa Tequila. The company recently announced that Good Twin is now the #1 organic non-alcoholic wine brand in the U.S., with sales growing by more than 122% year over year. With distribution in over 40,000 retail locations nationwide, Amass continues to position itself around major consumer trends focused on moderation, wellness, and premiumization. Thank you again to our friends at Amass. And we're going to talk here about NVIDIA. As Neil and Sean mentioned, it's really hard to avoid NVIDIA, but it's also hard to avoid this move down in crypto. So I do want to mention and address this. I'm seeing some people ask about it in the chat. MSCR to the downside here. They've sold some Bitcoin, 32 Bitcoin last week, valued at $2.5 million, raising $128.3 million as well via share issuance. Is this surprising to you, Sharif, the MSTR sale? They kind of indicated it, but maybe not so soon.
Yeah, they did it previously already, so this is not the first time that we've seen them do this. A few weeks ago, Michael Saylor funneling out of some Bitcoin for some liquidity issues. Let's see if he continues with this offloading strategy or whether he goes back to his sort of purist approach, which is basically to hoard Bitcoin and add on the dips.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see, I guess, how this unfolds. But certainly NVIDIA unfolding to the upside pretty nicely, as we mentioned here, and balances were not kind to NVDA on Friday, but nice gap up here. We get another really successful keynote from CEO Jensen Huang, this time in Taipei.
It's an ARM-based N1X CPU, and this is quite disruptive, possibly to the PC market for a number of reasons. One, it obviously adds a competitive CPU on there specifically for on-device inference. They're trying to brand this as an AI sort of PC, AI CPU. But the disruptive part is actually to some of NVIDIA's own customers. I'm talking about the Dells. I'm talking about HPE. I'm talking about Lenovo. Why is that? Because NVIDIA is going to package the RAM into the CPU. Remember, we've been talking a lot about packaging lately. You take the processor, you take the RAM, you put it on the circuit board, and it's a finished product. Well, why is that eating into the Dell business? Why is that eating into the HPE business? Because that's one of their highest margin products, the upsell on the RAM. Who's bought a computer lately? You want to upgrade from 16 to 32 gigabytes of RAM? Get ready to ante up. And so that was one of their highest margin products, and NVIDIA is basically eating into that. So that's point number one. Point number two, this is a 3 nanometer process. So what's the point of that? Well, they're basically taking almost all of Taiwan Semi's output at that 3 nanometer node. So that affects the Apples, who actually have their M series chip on that 3 nanometer node, as well as Qualcomm Snapdragon processor. So supply for those two specific chips could be very limited now, especially if NVIDIA takes the bulwark of their supply. Last but not least, this is a very, very interesting CPU that they're putting out here, because if the CPU becomes overloaded locally on the machine, it's actually programmed to offload whatever it can't handle locally onto the cloud for NVIDIA to basically process offsite at one of their NeoCloud facilities. Very, very interesting setup. Never seen it done like this.
Really interesting look here from NVDA. We are expecting more updates from both NVIDIA, likely just throughout the week. We know that NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang is also going to be attending the keynote from Matt Murphy, CEO of Marvell. So that'll be on watch later this week. But also worth noting here, Microsoft with their Microsoft Build event starting tomorrow. They're also very likely to mention their collaboration with NVIDIA as well. So more NVIDIA on watch to be sure. I also want to do some housekeeping. 8:30 is approaching. We don't have any 8:30 numbers. We do have some numbers at 9:45 and 10. At 9:45, S&P Manufacturing PMI. 10 a.m., ISM Manufacturing PMI. So numbers to be aware of. But meantime here, what do you guys feel about chips today, Neil and Sean, specifically NVIDIA?
Well, specifically, the thing about NVIDIA is it's rising everybody else a little bit more than them. So, you know, one thing we did say on Friday is if you ever you just said housekeeping, and it reminded me of, you know, the window dressing or the index rebalancing and the shuffling that happened at the close on Friday. And one of the things that you will often see is when you get these artificial moves, if you're ever interested, let's just say you were a buyer on NVIDIA for whatever reason, like maybe you like the prior high at 210, you're like, oh, this is a good support level, I want to buy it in front of that. When you see an bounce day like this, it can give you an opportunity to get filled on like just some crazy stink bid, where, you know, there's a very short duration event, which means nothing. I mean, it doesn't mean nothing, but it's not going to matter to the stock in the long term, which can cause it to move 2, 3, 4 points, as we saw on Friday. And those can be opportunities if you happen to like them and you were looking for a bid. It's just something to think about, and it gets exacerbated by the fact that, you know, we've said before, these companies cannot do buybacks in the final 10 minutes. So when you get a big down weighting, even a company that does buy back their own stock, they can't offset it with that regular program buying that you might see, which exacerbates down moves oftentimes. NVIDIA is it's getting to be boringly good at this point, but as I said before, it is now bouncing off that prior high, that 210. So you got this nice little double bottom, which is forming. I'm a little more excited once it can, now you want to zoom out even further. I'm a little more excited if it can take out that 218.5 pivot point, where a couple of weeks ago that was support, it turned into resistance last week, and if it breaks that, then I think we can absolutely fly. I want to be looking at the chips, the ones that are moving more on this headline, and it's just the reality. ARM is moving more, Intel is moving more, same thing with AMD, Intel to the downside. This is legit competition here. And it comes at a time when Intel is basically, I mean, let's be real, it's actually just put in a lower high. Parabolic move, lower high got put in here for Intel. So I'm sort of looking at this as a pullback into the 100 level. And if it pops significantly. There's the 113 support, but there's also about 110, 111 as well. So I'm looking fade on Intel. I think it's in a bit of a healthy pullback phase. But apparently we're going to talk some options with Joe.
Morning. Let's take a look at some of the options activity from Friday's session. We're going to be taking a look at CrowdStrike as we tick into new all-time highs, guys. We're going to have to go out a little bit here in expiration cycle. That is going to be the 18th of this month. But what I found from open interest and volume standpoint is we're sitting around 1,000 contracts there, still holding at that $750 strike price with 430 open and closed on Friday's session. Now, if we're going to actually take a look at the cost of these specific contracts, relatively expensive, $42.15 and $40 on the bid. So you have a $200 spread on a $750 name. Makes it a little difficult to trade, hence the cool open interest and volume. Now, as for Gamma, you're gonna have almost no exposure considering, and then your at the money IV sitting at 71.2%. But what I want us to focus on here, guys, and I know it's hindsight and it's not that easy, but if you happen to get in early on this move, we have CrowdStrike up 93% from its previous lows, the pivot lows. Well, how about 4,000% in some of these contracts, going from a value of $86 all the way up to $40 plus. All right, so that's some big time movement in CrowdStrike. If you were to front run that or even get in a little bit later, then you can see some substantial returns in some of these cybersecurity names. Moving forward to the next contract, we're gonna be taking a look at Robinhood. Now taking a little bit of a slide here, guys, but we've been on a run as the PDT rule comes to a close relatively soon. But we're gonna be taking a look at this $100 marker for the foreseeable future at this expiration cycle on the 18th, but at this $100 strike price, we're going to be looking at 18,000 contracts still currently open and 18,000 open and closed on Friday session. Now you can see the bid is around $4 and our ask is at $4.10. Our delta metric sitting around $39 and then also our gamma sitting only at $2. Nothing substantial. You would think, considering the past couple of sessions, we'd see an uptick in implied volatility. We do, but nothing drastic, okay? 69.3%. Now, if we're gonna talk about contract appreciation, once again, this is no CrowdStrike, but you're able to get $1,200 there, 1,200%, I should say, there from Thursday last week until Monday. All right, guys. Now, moving forward, we'll take a look at the next contract. SoFi, that $20 strike price, guys, closer to at the money here. But our open interest sitting around 67,000 contracts with volume 34,400 open and closed at that specific level. Now, once again, we're going to go into the same expiration cycle. Our bid in the ask, $2 spread, where they're not relatively as expensive as what we've seen on the past couple of contracts, sitting on that $57 delta metric gamma, and are at the money IV with a slight uptick, nothing substantial either, to 57.4%. Keep an eye out on some of these levels. And here's another one, you get 536% in contract appreciation from Thursday last week. Let's see what the open looks like today, guys. Let's send it back to Neil and Sean.
As always.
Yeah, lots of names. Yeah, I like that SoFi. One name that's not going to be an options play or anything like that. I mean, we have space here. Virgin Galactic is starting to go upside. I just wrote it down on the sticky note here today. And of course, the chart has to change. There it is, up 24% with a 22% short float. So, you know, the space is getting heated up. We've already talked about this. I think, you know, sell everything June 10th, 11th, wait for June 12th, SpaceX will come, then all these names will probably come crashing back in, then you'll be able to buy some decent levels, and this has included ASTS, this is included in Rocket Lab and everything. I just think that these names are all starting to get a little blown up. I mean, I think it's appropriate to talk about it because, you know, options plays and whatnot are probably very expensive right now in this space. And I started talking about this I mean, it's nice to see Virgin Galactic going up, but I started talking about this last week, that I do expect a decent pullback to happen in the Rocket Labs of the world as some of the air will come out of the idea as SpaceX comes to market on the 12th. right? So hopefully we'll get that pricing on the 11th, and then we'll see an exuberance on the 12th, and then maybe even the 13th, 14th, we start to come back in a little bit. And I think this market could take a little bit of a breather. But I mean, they've been huge. So, you know, I'm not in basically any of these other than the ETF. But you can see here now, we are getting a little bit of a pullback both in ASTS and in Rocket Lab. So a lot of the attention has switched over to Virgin Galactic here, and up 25%. Seems like it wants to keep on going there, 22% now. So that's Virgin Galactic, something that's on watch, and I've got it on here, and we're gonna post it up after we get through our guest of the day, early day, I guess.
You know who it is. It's the beginning of a month, which means we get some monthly charts. The NOS boss is in full effect.
Yeah.
I know it's one of his favorite times of the year.
It is indeed. I know I kind of spoiled it at the end of last week. Neil just spoiled it now, but I believe our guest here, Michael Noss, good friend of the show here over at Strats Edge, is going to be likely discussing these monthly charts here. You sent quite a few over for us. First off here, happy June. How was your weekend, Michael?
It was fantastic. It was raining, so we were inside a lot, but we made it work. How about yourself?
Great weekend. Thank you for asking. Let's get right in here to something I know you did this weekend, which was look at these monthly charts. It's a Monday. You had a lot of time to look at these. Let's just kick it off here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I kind of give the same caveat that I always do when it lines up and I can come on and talk about these charts. I know, you know, we do a lot of day trading, a lot of short-term trading, things like that. And some people think, okay, well, you know, maybe monthly is a little bit too long of a time frame, but I highly recommend whatever your universe is, if you're trading futures or stocks or whatever it is, once a month. It only takes once a month. Put on a Netflix show on one monitor or something and just go through that universe on a monthly basis, because it gives you kind of a nice zoomed out view of what's actually going on when we're so inundated by day-to-day noise and news and all of this. Just that zoomed out look I find is really good for like level setting and things like that. So first of all, the S&P 500, you know, this is where everyone I think is getting a bit nervous, and I'm hearing bubble talk come up and all of that, because yes, we're up 25%, I think, from that low with the war. But if you look at it, it's just 2 months up in a row. We spent about 5-6 months doing nothing. We had the breakout month last month, and this month was a little bit of continuation. But I think it's this next chart that has people more worried than anything, and that's SMH. And that's so this is where, when you're hearing all the bubble talk, they're generally referring to your Microns of the world and all of these different names, and it's because of this, right? It's that number is really small there, but it's up 70%-ish from the last 2 months. That's huge for especially a sector. You know, you get stocks that do that every day, but an entire sector being up that much, I think that is what everyone's focusing on, because that's what the news is talking about, and that's where everyone's, you know, doing all this bubble talk. But take a look at the next chart, and the next chart is the RSP. You guys know that I love the RSP, which is essentially the exact same names in the S&P 500, but it's equal weighted. So I just use this as a representation of what the average large cap stock is doing out there, not the giant Nvidias and Mag 7 and all of this, but what are the average guys doing? And we just broke out. We just broke out last month. So, you know, on this monthly chart, if you go back, that prior high is basically July or so in 2025 or 2024. And then 2025, we had the dip. So that hammer candle I anchored this VWAP to is the tariff tantrum lows. And you can see how well we've been respecting that anchored VWAP. And then we just broke out. So we pulled back down to the prior cycle highs. And last month was just a breakout month. So if you're looking in one area, you could be, yeah, this is a bubble, this is getting too crazy, everything's going nuts. And then you look at the average stock, and it really hasn't gotten going yet. So that could be indicative of potential signs of rotation, where if one sector is getting too stretched, when rebalance comes along from a lot of these big funds, they sell the high flyers and they look to buy kind of whatever's next with the money that they made. So a couple sectors I have going here. One is the XLV, which is right down here. This one's interesting to me because we have these kind of 3 monthly bottoming tails in this 145, 146 area. And then last month was a strong month. We got another 15% to go for XLV just to get to all-time highs. And then through all-time highs, we could go. Healthcare is a huge sector. It's not as interesting, right, as a lot of these other ones, but it's a huge sector. It's very important for the economy. So a push up here, there's a lot of names, your Lilly's and your all these different names that you could trade, your UNHs and Oscars and all of this, they look good if this can find a bottom and start to move higher with everything else. Next sector here looks really nice to me, and this is IBB. So this is biotechs, and if we are going to see some sort of come down in rates or something, that kind of talk starts to pick up, you can see this breakout potentially happening in IBB, which is biotechs. If you were trading this on a 5-minute chart, you would look at that and say, that's a really nice looking bull flag. I don't think it's any different on a monthly chart. You've had this really strong push up in late 2025, and then for the entire year this year and the end of last year, biotechs haven't really done too much. So a breakout there would be interesting. Next is, you know that I'm a quant, and that's what we do over at Stats and Trading. And on my website and on my Substack, I actually released the rules to an investment system that I run, and this trades once a month. And the idea is we're looking for different names that are strong and pulling back once a month. You can see the dark blue line is the equity curve of this system. Not perfect, but that's why we play multiple systems. And then below is the S&P 500. So some general good outperformance there. So because it's the end of the month, I thought I'd bring you guys one name that has triggered off, and that's the next chart here, which is GCT, which is Giga Cloud Technologies. It seems to be AI related based off the name. I don't know. I just know I'll be buying it here on the open based off this strategy. But I picked this one because the chart actually does look really nice. It IPO'd in 2023. It's, hit this high of about $30, $40 a few times now. Really strong year or so last year and a pretty sharp pullback. And that's the idea behind this, is you're looking for very strong names that are experiencing a little bit of short-term oversold conditions, and we're looking to take trades off of that. So rotation continues to be the thing I'm looking for. I'm not buying semiconductors up here based off the chart I showed you, but if that chart comes down, I think there's a world in which the whole market doesn't collapse, but we start to see this moving into other areas of the market. So that's what the kind of monthly chart look around the world did for me today.
Thank you very much for going over that. I love, as always, that you're bringing up the RSP, which I know is something that you look at a lot. And it is really interesting to kind of see how that compares to the wider market, and specifically with what we're seeing here in semiconductors. Do you have a couple of questions for you, if I may? Both of these are kind of, I guess, a little bit more abstract, but just about the process of looking at these charts. So for one, I know you like these monthly charts here. My question is, if you go a little bit farther down the line in terms of time frames, for example, at the end of this month, we're going to be starting to get these quarterly charts, 6 months, yearlies. I guess, what of these time frames do you like in terms of the wider time frames? And do you think there's a benefit of going a little bit wider frame, or do you think that can maybe lead to more distraction than actual signals?
Personally not, and it's because if you do yearly charts, you get one candle a year. So there's a kind of diminishing return there, where I think you have to just look at what point has kind of the whole world changed, and am I looking too far back? And with monthly charts, I zoomed in here because it's easier for the audience and everything to see, but it's very easy to take these same charts and just, if I click the scroll wheel and I go back, I can see the entire history of the RSP, the entire history of the SPY. And I think that's more important than the candle width. It's the amount of data that you're bringing in. So if you can see, 20 years of price data, then I think you're probably fine with monthlies.
That's a really important distinction, and thank you for clarifying that for me and for everybody here. Now, another question I have as well is, you mentioned you were a quant, you were a CMT. For those who are not quants and not CMTs and who are maybe new to the world of looking at these monthly charts, I guess, how would you suggest they start? Which charts to maybe start off with here at the end of every month to get a sense of how those stocks have performed over the last 4 weeks or so?
Yeah, and it's going to be different for everyone. And I think it's, whatever your universe is. If you're a Forex trader, you're going to be spending more time looking at, all of the different cross pairs and maybe metals and that type of thing. For us, I think most people here are probably equity traders. Just like I have the same list that I go through at the end of every day, and then at the end again at the end of every week, and then again at the end of every month. And it should be the list that's the most important to you. But good place to get started is your major indexes, your SPY, your Q, your IWM. And then there's 11, I believe, sectors inside the S&P 500. That's another good place to go. You'll get technology and financials and healthcare and retail, some of these big ones. And then if you want to go further down, it just goes into actual industry names. So the beauty of it is that there is an ETF for pretty much everything that you can imagine now. Like before I got on, I know Sean was talking about space and Virgin Galactic and all of these different things. There's a couple tickers for that. There's NASA and UFO. So whatever it is that you like to trade, those are the ones that I would take a look at. But always you can start high, with your sectors and with your major indexes.
Always appreciate your insights and chartistry here, Michael. Before we let you go, can you please tell the people where they can find you on social media, on YouTube, etc.?
Yeah, and again, always thank you for this. My name is Michael Noss, right? Now, Michael Noss, CMT, everywhere. Twitter, Substack, all that kind of stuff. You can just find me there.
Exactly. You guys can find Michael Noss, CMT, everywhere. Thank you very much once again here to Michael. Good friend of the show. Always happy to have you on here. And we'll see you again on Friday morning.
Thank you. Have a great week.
Thank you. You too.
And I cannot wait for that Friday morning. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off with some downgrades. At the top of the list, we have Cardiff here, down 5.7%, going from a buy to a neutral weight by H.C. Wainwright. And then we also have Redwire. Neil and I talking about this a couple times last week, and it was most definitely in play. But getting the downgrade this morning, you're down 6.7% here today. Going from a buy to a hold, $13 to $24 price target by Jefferies. And then also we have Taylor Morrison, a buyout here. Neil, I know you're going to be looking at this one, outperform to market perform here. And then $72.50 is that buyout price, guys. Citizens giving them that downgrade. And the Campbell's Company down a little bit more than 0.5%, overweight to equal weight here from $28 to $21 by Stevens CPB is that target. Moving forward, Sharif, to the upgrade side of things, we are going to be looking at Dell Technologies, underweight to equal weight. I know that's why Neil was laughing. $178 to $448 is going to be that price target. Morgan Stanley giving them the nod. Now, BMO Capital, the Bank of Montreal, getting the nod here by Scotiabank. You're up 0.6%. You can see these are Canadian dollars from 209 to 234. Take a look at some of the tech names here, guys. We got Google down 0.75% here, but a price target increase by Piper Sandler from $425 to $445. Now, Broadcom also getting the nod, hitting all-time highs here today, guys. HSBC giving them a price target increase to $600, all the way up from $450. You're up 2.5%, guys.
Thank you, Joe. Sharif was having some fun during that. You can see him already chuckling over there. We know what's up, Sharif. We saw. Joe had no problem staying focused.
Professional.
Totally professional. Unlike some people who have the mouse flying around his head like that, but that's fine. I actually wanted to swing back because it was a stock that Michael mentioned, which I wanted to bring up. Is one of the things he did, like go top down, look at interesting sectors, look at what could be breaking out. Well, Humana is on the verge of breaking out right now. And the healthcare name, obviously it's been on a pretty good run, pretty much doubled up from the lows. But have a look at this 320 level, which is more or less attempting to break today. You could call it 21, 22, maybe even the 25 needs to go. But this is another leg here for Humana, as really the healthcare names are starting to, again, they've woken up, they're joining the party, and you're going to get some explosive moves, I do believe. This one does stand out pretty well. Actually on that list, the upgrades and the downgrades, you're going to find the ever so impressive Dell. Wow, you had the earnings on. We saw this on. We saw this with Snowflake.
That was a monster.
But what basically happened with Snowflake when it was up like 35, 40% after earnings, Dell did more or less the same thing. Gap up, made its high in the pre-market. Once it found the low, it just supported the low and then retested the high in the afternoon for very much an inside day. If you continue to follow, the pattern from Snowflake after its earnings, gap up, held the next day. Snowflake, obviously there were some breakouts and the market's pretty strong on Friday, but Snowflake was able to make that breakout the following day. So gapped on earnings, consolidated, and then ran. Granted, Snowflake, probably not as strong of a chart as Dell, so you could say Dell's more priced to perfection. But Dell's pretty well set up here to emulate what happened with Snow. You held the low on the first day, bigger gap, which is fair. So it does have a little bit, it's a little bit harder for it to go at this point. But if you saw, it was like hold it one day and then the next day you get that bit of a ramp job. So if it can hold on 420, that'll be the key here. Always seems to be a pretty big price there for Dell, that 420, or just in the markets in general. That's one to watch. Humana in the healthcare sector, that's probably more of like a weekly play. Like watch that one do a second leg to the upside as healthcare is starting to look strong.
So I have, hey everybody, thanks Michael Noss for coming through again and talking about his weekend chart looking ideas. And I think he's right, man. Just start small, start with the bases, start with those indexes and move from there. And one index is IGV starting to go. And we have Palantir as a -- trade idea. If it can come back into 156, 157, I'm looking at this name and I have IBIT on there. We have Nvidia short, wait a second. No, that's supposed to be Intel. I have to change that. Intel short, obviously, at those prices. So I'm going to get that going in a second. But yeah, right there. So we're going to look at some Palantir. And you can see right here that it has broken back above. I mean, as soon as it took sort of that 145, 150 area, I mean, it just happened on the weekend, on Thursday, Friday. So we'll see if it can continue to go back upside. Finally, I saw a lot of you in the chat calling this name out last week, that it was about time to go for a run. Well, you're right on that. We've seen Microsoft go back up to the upside, even a name like CRM starting to go as well. And you're at that 200 period moving average right here, right now. I wrote down that we really want to see a 160 hold. So that's going to be key. I kind of just wrote down 160 where the 200 period may be in about 45 minutes. So we'll wait to see if it can sort of make its way back up there. But let's watch a 160 fill coming on Palantir. Look, the market just made a nice little move down and came all the way back up, right? And Palantir really didn't think of anything about that move. So I like the strength up another 3.5% there today. We have here's CRM right here, back up over 2 bills. We got to say congratulations to that one. And that's awesome because there it goes. Finally, they had a report last week. It wasn't even that well received, but there's the break. And you're finally now, I might get into some sell mode now for Salesforce. Let's see what ends up happening on this move. But look where we are right here, right now. And I was like, oh man, maybe IBM's not going to break out from those levels. Maybe Salesforce won't either, and then next thing you know, we could pop through into that 200 period moving average, which is 220. So we're talking about Humana over there possibly breaking out. Salesforce, I don't love it. I mean, they're probably getting rid of more engineers than they're bringing on, but I like Salesforce on the breakout. We just want to see if it can hold, and that's going to happen today. 206. We got to see if it can hold that 200 marker. We're right here. I don't expect it to hold like right away off the open. Let's just see if we can close above 200 and get a little good times rolling with Salesforce and CRM and Mark Benioff last week. So, Agent Force is their name of their new AI, and it's not even that new, but one that they're going to try to bring to the forefront here again as CRM going upside. And there goes Microsoft. Microsoft had a story as well, obviously with Jensen and Nvidia. They're talking about Microsoft and some of that stack, and there that goes back up to the upside here as well. So we all knew that IBM, that Microsoft was, one of those sort of names that hadn't got back upside yet, one of the Mag 7s that still needed to go. I think you might have missed it, to be honest with you, at this point. There's still more room to go, but that's a nice move for Microsoft, 410 up to 470. I mean, in 3 or 4 days, Microsoft doesn't normally move like that, I guess, unless it's going that way. So let's wait to see what winds up happening with Microsoft. Look at the move that can happen when the buyers come back in, right? We went from right here, we went from 430, basically the same move last May. So last May, we went from 430, basically in a straight line to 550, making new all-time highs. Are we about to do something like that again right now? With not too much negativity in the software space right now anyways, we'll see if that sort of Claude overhang has now reached its pinnacle with Microsoft. So we'll see if that gets going. And Copilot, see if anybody's flying with that coming up soon. So yeah, that's a couple looks there, guys. Microsoft, I don't know, Adair, it seems like we might have been late on that Microsoft train. Decent move back up to the upside over there, all sparked by, of course, Nvidia and that call. They have Marvell coming up too, so watch out for some Marvell talks there. But yeah, a lot of these names can't be stopped. Space sector as well, we talked about with Michael there.
And a couple of IPOs this week. One of them, there's more than a couple of IPOs this week. There's 2 that probably matter the most, and they'll both be on Thursday. One is Quantinium. I don't make up the names. So if you probably have guessed Quantinium is a quantum stock, if you can't figure that one out, $1.2 billion IPO. But the other one, INIO, this is an energy company. They do power data centers, so that puts them in the right space, and that's a $2.3 billion. Both of these expected on Thursday. hey, the IPO market isn't just about SpaceX and a lot, but obviously going to matter. There's a couple of ones that I think will be traded on Thursday. So you know what? When the market's at the highs and the market's strong, more people are going to want to take advantage of that by coming to market to get some capital. You are seeing USO pulling back ever so slightly. This downward trend will probably help the markets out a little bit, but nothing too crazy, as we have seen oil prices, which are gapped up and which have gapped up, starting to fill in a little bit of that gap. Let's go back to the desk. We've got plenty to discuss today.
Microsoft as well, just because Sean mentioned it, they do have, once again, that Microsoft Build conference tomorrow and Wednesday, where they're expected to talk a little bit more about that NVIDIA collaboration, at least that's according to a report from Axios. One name that definitely clawed its way back in recent days and months here has been Dell, D-E-L-L. They're actually coming off of their best day, week, and month in their personal stock history as of what happened here after their earnings on Friday. But other stuff to discuss here with Dell. They have that new laptop, which Sharif mentioned earlier, and also being mentioned here by NVIDIA a couple times at that keynote last night.
Yeah, and Michael Dell taking to X over the weekend, basically showing the server rack that he delivered to CoreWeave with NVIDIA's latest gen Vera Rubin tie-up, saying, that's just going to be one of many. Today, the headline is a $699 XPS 3 laptop. This is supposed to take on Apple's MacBook Neo directly. But let's talk about some of the comparisons and some of the differences. So the headline thing is right away, they're including as their base model 8 gigabytes of RAM to kind of match the Neo. Anybody who's used a laptop knows 8 gigabytes of RAM on a PC is not the same thing as 8 gigabytes of RAM on a Mac. Moreover, it's a single channel 8 gigabytes of RAM, not a dual channel. You want that dual channel, you're gonna have to ante up a little bit more. That's point number one. Point number two, they tried to make it the thinnest, the smallest, the lightest XPS ever in history. 2.2 pounds, half an inch thick. What they didn't say was the keyboard feedback basically is all but nothing. 0.8 millimeters of feedback on the keyboard, so you're not really gonna get that tactile feel. Industry standard is 1.2 to 1.3. Moreover, that $599 student headline, that's temporary. Whereas for Apple, it's permanent, expires November 2nd for Dell. Fourthly, that 256 gigabyte regional downgrade plan. So what they did was they wanted their hard drive to be bigger than the MacBook Neo, 512 gigs instead of the standard 256 for Apple. What they didn't tell you was that they're looking at winding down that standard from 512 to 256 by basically the year's end. So initially that 512 is just going to be promotional. Then that $699 price tag is going to go down to 256. Last but not least, they're quoting 17 hours of battery life for video feedback play. What they don't say is that this is an unproven, untested amount because it's based on the Wildcat Lake Core 5 Intel architecture. That's pretty new. I don't really know any other laptop who's used that technology quite yet. These are claims being made by Intel. Let's see how they do in the wild.
Yeah, good look here for a lot of these computing names here, including Dell. I also want to mention we do have some more news, unfortunately, coming out of the Middle East. IDF reporting that there are some sirens warning of hostile aircraft infiltration in the north. You get a little bit of a spike here, as you can see in the 3-minute for USO as we get this headline. But Dell, guys, what are your thoughts?
Hard to have thoughts other than positive.
Hold it.
Yeah, I feel like.
Well, I think it's more of a hold. I don't know. We talked about this with the ridiculous. Ridiculous is the wrong word. With the impressive rally that it's been on. I mean, going into earnings, it was already impressive, and then you get 35 points for Dell. So it had a consolidative day on Friday, which. I mean, you can't. I know most of the day on Friday, you would argue that Dell was selling, right? So there was a lot of selling, but that's kind of to be expected. It didn't close in the gap. It found buyers into the close. Ultimately, like it had strength after support in front of 400 into the close, and I think as long as it can hold that level, maybe for a couple of days, you give it the old 3-day rule kind of thing. I think it should be absolutely fine. If it holds 420 specifically, though, I think a test of the 440 high is at least likely. Whether or not it can break out from there, I think it's asking a lot for it to do some kind of a clean breakout. You've got much more Well, you've got a lot of places today where there's a lot of excitement, specifically when you're talking about ARM, and then you're looking at the software names, which are a little bigger, and then if we're looking the other direction, Intel's going to be a big mover, and AMD is going to be a big mover. So it wouldn't surprise me if you had somewhat of an inside day, but so long as this holds 400, I think you've got to be absolutely thrilled. Like, let it consolidate some of these gains, and then make another leg. It's just hard to imagine it can go parabolic again so soon. Again, like, it just feels more like a hold than anything else.
Yeah, for me, I wanted to look at, I mean, I think obviously Dell's been great, SMCI has been great on the back of it as well. But another name that is starting to turn out to be fantastic over the last little while is Oracle, because this name right now has finally broken above its year and gone green now on the year. So there it goes, breaking through the 200 period. Like Palantir's at the 200 period moving average, Oracle said no way to that one, and that just ripped up right back through some of these levels. Now you're up to 230 again, back to where we were in November. I mean, we fell all the way into 120, and it just fell right into the lap of some of these tariff lows right back in there when we had that tantrum. But back into 130s, bang, up to the upside now, 230 and change. Oracle's starting to go upside. If this data center play is, I mean, you know, they've raised the capital, they've got, you know, all these bond offerings through now, and hopefully be able to go ahead and build out. And we've seen names like CoreWeave and NBIS, Nebius starting to get going. And there's Dell going, SMCI, Marvell. You know, all the pieces are coming together now, and I just think that Oracle, although if you were buying some down here, nothing wrong with taking some out. I mean, I told you a couple of weeks ago, we sold, well, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, we sold some AMD right around these prices. So it's not like it's doing anything from this. We sold some Intel a little bit higher than where it is right now as well. That's starting to come in a little bit. So Oracle, I think, take a little bit of an advantage of that move that we've had to the upside right now. Maybe take a little off of Oracle, but that's starting to break. Maybe if you get a little bit of a dip buy back into 200 there for ORCL. And we always get questions about, like, you know, when do you get out? I think you get out the same way you're getting in. I mean, if you dollar cost averaged into a name like Oracle, I mean, here's
oh my God.
Big Bear AI right now, you know, we're long at 420, and now it's 25% in the money. So did you have to hold it through? Yeah, I mean, we bought this name a hell of a long time ago, but I just gotta tell you the same type of thing. If you've been sitting here listening to me talk about Big Bear AI for the last 6 or 8 months, you know, you're going to now see some nice gains from some of these lows if you were able to get in around here. And there's the move up to the 200 period moving average. So, you know, it's easy again to say, wow, I think this is going to moon. I'm still waiting for $8, right? But, you know, a wiser trader may think about, okay, it's at the 200 period. We've just had quite a nice move from 380 up to 530. You know, what's the next play? Why not, you know, if you have 100% of your position, $1,000, take out 200 of it, you know, and start to play a little bit with house money. I think when you're playing on these kind of names, that's what you're looking for. You're looking to get into a position, and it's happened with Palantir, it's happened with Micron, SanDisk, any of the names that have been related to this whole move higher. You're playing with house money if you get out, right? If you can get out a half at a decent level and let the other half ride, half might be a little bit too much because I don't think that this move is over yet. But even a Palantir from 130 up to 160, you just made $30. You just made 20-something% in 3 days. I think it's worth taking a little bit off of some of these names that have started to really run. And I would also include Dell into that, right? I mean, President Trump was like, dude, go buy a Dell, like without the dude word. And it's absolutely mooned from there, right? I mean, it's, I can't remember, Derek probably remembers the exact day, but that was a huge move higher there for Dell. All started with those Trump accounts, you know, when those were announced back into here, I think late February, maybe early March. And then it's just been absolutely blasting to the high side. So yeah, I think there is some room to take off some profit here. And, you know, case in point, ARM. Back up to $400 again. Maybe 400 might be that spot, but wow, 200 to 400, and forget about that 200 move. It was just at 100 back in March. So you've gone now 4x on ARM, like 4x on ARM since, well, we can go. We're going to talk about 4x. You got to go back to February, but that's fine. You know, February, March, April, May. 100% a month, basically. Thank you, ARM. That doesn't normally happen. So, yeah, some interesting.
What's crazy, you say that doesn't normally happen, but like in this market,
well, that's what I mean.
Like multiple places where it has happened. That's the crazy.
Oh yeah, and that's why I think it's the right thing to do is to maybe think about, is this market normal or not? And I would say, hey, we had a 10% move down when this war was first announced.
Exactly.
You know, so I think if there is ever a settling of it, you may get a little bit of a bump lower. Surprise, surprise, if that ever winds up happening, and then I think it'll be off to the races. You know, generally summer can slow down, but it doesn't seem like it maybe this time around. Well, people may be taking off some time for the World Cup. Sharif, give me a sleeper team for the World Cup. Is there anything we should be looking at over here?
Not us.
That's a great question, Katina, man. You know what? I'm always inclined to say Belgium, just because they have such a roster of talent that, you know, individually these are really big names, but collectively as a team they've really always underperformed. So I'm gonna say Belgium's a bit of a sleeper. Who else? Let me pick one off the continent of Europe, since Europe really pretty much dominates this. I'm gonna go ahead and say, look, this is probably not gonna surprise anyone. I'm gonna say Brazil. But Brazil was really not chosen to do anything at this World Cup here. Oh, no. Brazil was really not chosen to do anything at this World Cup here. I think they have fantastic defense. You got my boy Gabriel Magalhães in the back, but you also have Marquinhos. Those are two great central defenders. I don't see too many goals getting past those two central defenders. So if their defense can hold up, and even Neymar's back, guys, so maybe he can kind of get the mood going there on the bench. I think Brazil's probably the South American sleeper there.
Yeah, I know very little here about FIFA, but I guess good luck to all, and I'm sure everyone will have a great time watching when this World Cup takes place. We're going to get into the rundown in a minute here. I do also want to mention, because Neil did talk about it earlier, this is going to be on Watch this week. Quantinuum is, I believe, how it's spelled and supposed to be pronounced here. That's the QNT, that Honeywell quantum spin-up. I just saw here, I'm seeing this about 20 minutes ago, starting to see this circulate now. They've raised how much they're trying to seek in this IPO. Initially here, $1.05 billion. They're now seeking $1.46 billion. Do you think this IPO is going to be one to watch this week, Sharif?
I don't have too much information on it, to be honest with you, Adara, so I feel a little bit silly opining, but, you know, it's been quite good lately for these IPOs, save and except for Cerebras, which caught, you know, some people off guard here. We'll keep an eye on it, and we'll definitely be covering it on the midday if it does open up during then.
Which it might, but I guess in the meantime, we can get right into these futures for you all to kick off the day, week, and month here for June 26th.
Yeah, 756.5, guys, is where we closed out Friday on the SPY. We're basically just a little bit below 758 right now. So my first inclination is to say we're looking for 755 as that first area of support. If we start selling off below 755, perhaps something comes untoward from the Middle East, we're looking at 750 as support level 2. If we start catching a bid, we're awfully close, at least we were anyway this morning, that 760 level, Adara, as resistance level 1.
Lots of stories to talk about here. Oh, there we go. Lots of stories to talk about here every single day. And actually today, a lot of them involve one single company. We'll get to that in a second. But in every day, regardless of what we're talking about, regardless of what we're looking at, get a sense of the economic data, the stories on watch, and the stocks to look at here with our free Trader TV Live watch list. The link is in the description. Again, it comes to your inbox every single day. The markets are open for free. In the meantime, we do have to discuss the leather-jacketed man himself, Jensen Huang, and this Nvidia keynote. Lots of announcements were made. He stood in front of those Vera Rubin NVLink systems. He also talked a lot about this new PC ARM-based chip. Did you watch this keynote? What were your thoughts?
I didn't actually watch the keynote. I anticipated watching it today, hopefully, but the NX1 CPU is what I want to focus on here. It's a marked change for Nvidia, who's really been known as the king of the GPU, throwing their hat a lot more recently anyway into the CPU ring, specifically because inference, it uses CPUs more than it does GPUs, and that's where AI is headed. So let's talk a little bit about their packaging deal. So they're really able to save up a lot of money because basically, unlike Intel, unlike AMD, which use these swappable RAM slots on their PCs, they're using the RAM built in already with the packaging. As I mentioned at the top of the show, the CPU's at the center, they build the RAM components around on the circuit board, and it becomes a deliverable product. Point is, though, this is not just hurting Intel and AMD, who are competitors in this space, but it also hurts some of their clients, Dell, HPE, Lenovo. Why, though? Because those guys, they typically charge a lot for RAM upgrades. It's one of their highest margin upgrade products. Well, NVIDIA's kind of taken that out of their hands because they're building the RAM into the packaging. Secondly, I want to talk about the 3-nanometer process on which this chip is being built that is eating up a lot of Taiwan Semi's 3-nanometer process. That hurts the likes of Qualcomm. It hurts the likes of Apple, who have similarly based chips on that 3-nanometer node. Last but not least, as I mentioned, this was really a surprise to me. If this N1X CPU is overloaded locally on the machine, it doesn't end the matter. It can basically take whatever excess it's not able to compute locally and throw it onto the cloud, have it processed on NVIDIA's NeoCloud servers, and then come back to you with a result. So I liked the cohesion here, Adara, between on-device and on-cloud.
And speaking of cohesion, though, this keynote itself was quite the watch. Definitely recommend it to everybody. He's got this snakeskin leather jacket on. He also, at one point, was just name-dropping a whole bunch of company with NVIDIA, a heart, and then whatever the company's name was. So CoreWeave got the NVIDIA love, quite literally. Nebius got the NVIDIA love. So definitely a keynote worth watching. Lots of announcements made and top-tier visuals from the NVDA team. How do you guys feel about NVIDIA today?
How we feel is that the next hour is going to be brought to you by our good friend Centerpoint Securities. Centerpoint gives you access to an extensive, easy-to-borrow list from multiple locate sources, alongside a trading platform designed specifically for active day traders. Visit centerpointsecurities.ca/TraderTV to try it today and get your first 90 days commission-free. Scan the QR code you see out in front of you for more information. I want to shout out to them. And, well, there was a super chat that was up there.
Oh, was there?
You know,
I missed it.
Maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. I'm sure Sharif saw this super chat. From Adam James Abroad. Thank you, Adam James. Clearly, as you all know, Sharif is an Arsenal fan, and Paris Saint-Germain, with congratulations to them
Yeah, they wound up winning,
winning the Champions League. They won penalty kicks, won by. I hate the. You know what? I shouldn't say. I don't love shootouts.
No, of course not.
It's not a fun way to
Not to determine
end
a champ-
for a championship.
Yeah.
I understand that you cannot always play forever, but when you're talking about the actual final,
You're right.
I don't know. I don't like. Yeah,
The World Cup doesn't go. It goes to kicks too. They all go to kicks.
They all eventually go to kicks
Yeah.
because it's just a human thing. You can't physically play forever. It's just.
Dude, you also can't watch soccer for 6 hours.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? It is what it is.
Well, you can turn it off, and that's the problem, right? Cricket's trying to solve that a little bit. Like,
Well, cricket has a unique.
yeah,
Like it's just a different game. Like it'll never go on forever. But to me, it'd be the equivalent in baseball if they ever had that runner on second rule in a playoff. game.
right.
I would throw up in my mouth.
Maybe the Jays might have been able to win.
I hate that rule. But okay, anyways, back to some stocks here. Nvidia. Look, I like Nvidia if it can break out the 218 half zone. I think it was Ozan was mentioning in the chat they like 217.50. I think that gives a place for like a break to have support at that prior high, like once it gets past there. So you've made a recent bottom. You've had your pullback. We've had our moment, pullback from the highs. Nvidia does it for like a week or two from the high, and now it's starting to get that little turn. So it needs to break the 18.5 in my estimation. That's the one I'm going to be on for Nvidia. It's just a matter of like, can it actually get there? We're a couple of dollars underneath. It's actually 1 point, and a couple of dollars underneath that breakout level. And the market somewhat flat right now. So it could happen off of the open. I don't want to completely discount it. It could also happen later on in the session. But either way, I think we're on the comeback trail.
Look, I recently bought some NVIDIA at this 215, 216, 217, 218 level, and I like the stock. But I have written down today on the note that we're going to try to go short on Intel, right? I don't think it's going to bump up to this area. Now we've come way back in. Did you say coffee, Randy? Sure, yeah. Why not? Randy's moved. They're here at Real Trading. They're sort of cleaning up the front office a little bit here. So some of these. Randy, I saw Mark moving around as well. Randy's basically going to be sitting right in front of us. and said he's going to be throwing things at us all day. So that should be a lot of fun and not distracting at all. But okay, so here we go. There's Intel. Yeah, we're only trading like
he's going to distract us
thousands of shares and millions of dollars. Watching for AI chip sector fatigue. Let's just wait to see if that happens here. And the reason why I say that fatigue is that I don't think there's fatigue in the sector. It's just with Intel. I mean, we've seen a nice move higher right now, and now it's starting to pull back in. NVIDIA comes out, talks all about ARM and their processor and what's going on with AI in that space. And we've seen Microsoft get the bump. We've seen IBM get the bump today. And the name that's sort of forgotten over the last little bit has been Intel. That might mean it's a great buy down into these levels. But if we do get bumped up into Friday's closing price, then look, we had this huge move down, as Neil mentioned. We did have a big imbalance come through on pretty much all of the chip names and a lot of the tech space there on Friday, creating a false sense of price. But that does not seem to matter. So what I think is, hear me out here, and regardless of what winds up happening right here off the open, I think Intel can self-correct and get back up into this 13-14 area, but then I still think the story is red for them. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for, is a little bit of a correction upside, and it could be fast and furious. Good movie. We can see if we can get that back there to the upside. I don't even know if I've seen one of them, but anyways, there was like 9 of them maybe. But there it is to the down. So was that fourth? Ludicrous. So I think Intel, again, probably part of the problem today to the downside there. Then I was going to write down AMD short, but the thing about AMD is, they did not have that move. They actually went the other way into the close there on Friday. So let's see if the buyers want to come back into this name. I just did not want to short AMD. Every time I seem to do that, it's not right. So we could look at it at the 200 period at $502, but at the end of the day, I think AMD down 4%, little riskier to play that momentum than it is to play Intel. So I'm going to look to go short here. And look, SOXL, we actually got the report from Real Trading today. SOXL is the #1 name. And Neil and I have mentioned that over the last couple of weeks. #1 name there, traded on the NYSE American for Real Trading. And I think today could be another one of those days. Another 2%, hanging out near the highs. So we'll look to see if SOXL has any sort of a play to it. But for me right now, on the note, we've got long, is Palantir on there? No, we've got long Palantir as #1. We've got iBit with NASDAQ heading higher, crypto going lower. I'm going to keep that short going. Intel, and then Virgin Galactic. We'll talk about, we won't talk about that, but we will talk about Intel very soon. So let's go talk about some software names, and we can tie Palantir back to that. Potentially.
And here, Sean, in the meantime, though, we're going to start with some of the software stories that actually led to this move. We know NVIDIA and Microsoft here with the Windows PCs. That's something that could potentially be in watch, at least adjacent here in the software space. Dell also getting some love here from NVIDIA. But again, a lot of the software strength is being tied, at least in part, to this NVIDIA conference last night.
Absolutely. I think some of it has to do with the cyclicality as well of what we've seen from these trades. You got ServiceNow ripping up here in the pre-market, CRM as well. But, Salesforce has been quite beat up. But we saw this with the cybersecurity space. Recall when Claude came out with their sort of cybersecurity app. Not long after that, OpenAI came out with theirs, and the cybersecurity names were all aggressively selling off. A few of them have just made all-time highs, and well past all-time highs, mind you. Now we're kind of seeing that same sentiment shift into the software space, where earlier in the year, investors were really worried that Gen AI, agentic AI, would really disrupt parts or a lot of the software space now, but their opinion has changed, and the shift now is more that they may be beneficiaries of AI adoption rather than victims of it, Adara.
Yeah, I think certainly, at least from what we heard from Jensen yesterday, Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, he seems to believe that they are positioned to be beneficiaries should they work in the right way. In the meantime, we know one software name Sean's looking at. What are you guys feeling about this sector today?
However you're feeling about
bigger story right
the market, Rand might be freezing negotiations.
Yeah.
Can I throw this up there?
Just got a little bit of a story.
Load. Iran stopped message exchange with the U.S. in protest against Zionist crimes. So that just spiked USO from 1.5% to 3.5%. You just saw the Qs lose the bid here as well, obviously. So now you're red here on the NASDAQ. The ES also going into negative territory by 0.07%. So the timing of everything looking good. And I was going to tell you how, it's still true, I suppose, but was going to say how like the IGV is continuing its breakout. That's trending down from VWAP and just lost a bid. It's still looking very good on the daily chart for the software name, specifically the IGV. This is something we were touching on last week, that when you're continuing this breakout, that some names were just starting. And that one was Palantir. I already let you guys know that the second this one broke the trend on the daily, swing long, it's already at the 200 period moving average. So it was already able to get there after a great day on Friday. Look, I'm gonna like to dip into prior high. Usually, like my note, I said 160 and then 157. Well, this headline has already pressing 160. That's why I like to have a couple of levels. I'm not touching this thing right now at 915. So the 157 level is going to come into play if we get any further move to the downside. Again, caused by this headline. What we have seen, however, just to throw it out there, when we get these big oil moves or Iran headlines in the pre-market, generally speaking, they have been reversal plays. So if the news spikes us downside in the markets and up in oil, typically speaking, we've been seeing some reversions from there. So I'm not freaking out about this headline. It just starts things. We might look a little bit deeper on your dip buy if that's what you're inclined. And if you were looking at shorting something, maybe you don't want to chase all the way down here. Just got to be a little bit cautious. We have seen these revert, even though it looks like not the best start with USO still pressing the highs.
Yeah, as Adair mentioned here, I do have, and I mentioned a couple times too, I have Palantir on as the #1 look for me here today. So I think I'm going to stick with that right now. I wrote down 156 to 157 just to get it back into the bid. So it's going to be, the #1 name. I was looking at it on Friday. It started to really take off there. We've been trying to break through some of these levels up to 160. Here we go again for Palantir. Want to buy this name as quite clearly here, this war. Although, I don't want to be like, oh, I got to buy Palantir because of anything that's happening in Iran. But I think the more we see, the need for drones, and we saw AV start to go upside there last week as well. So I like Palantir. I like the SaaS space. Just for a potential rotation right now that's been happening. We already talked about Salesforce. I think this is another one, if we're talking about software strength, is it's just come into this level one more time, 205. Like it was left for dead down here at 160. So I think when you get a bump from 160 up to 200 and change, that's a nice move higher. I'm in Salesforce. My average price is probably nowhere near where this is, probably much higher. But this might be a decent opportunity to trim a little bit and think about maybe sector rotation into something that you may believe in. Like I believe in the banks and the financials much more than I do right now. So then some of these names, like I'd rather play some of the dips. And I was just actually talking about this with one of our friends there. And even on the weekend, people were asking me, like, I hate when they ask me, like, wait, what should I buy? And I'm just like, what is your time frame? Like, you want a name that could go up 30% this week, but it could also go down 30%. So if you're looking for something that potentially has some value to it, I think JP Morgan and some of these banks that are underneath the 200 period, I mean, I could ask, filter in all of these results right into Gemini or whatever, and how long generally does JP Morgan stay underneath the 200 period moving average? Now, we'd have to zoom back out and see all this. This is going to be tariff tantrum, so we are underneath it for then, but this goes all the way back, and right now I just think that with rates where they are, we're worried about what Warsh is going to come out with. So JP Morgan is getting hit. You're worried about some defaults possibly on the private equity side or some of the loan side origination because of oil. Potentially some of these companies may, fall back in. But if that's not really the worry, I think JP Morgan goes higher from here. So I think there's a couple different things I would look at and maybe rotating out of some software winners and potentially into some financials. But anyways, Salesforce today around that 220 mark would be, not 220, sorry, 205, looked to have been a short. And we talked about this at 8:15 or whatever when we first started talking about some of this. And it was like, look, we were right up there at 205, and that seems to have been the high. And it's almost, like, I can't even really make this up. Like, you go back to March, that's 205, and that's exactly where it hits right there. Maybe if I zoom in, you guys can see it a little bit better. So, just don't be too, I don't know. I want to say, like, if you do have profit there, you may want to think about some of that. And I'll just give you one more example of it not being potentially in the right sector right now. IBM had a very, very similar thing right here. And we talked about this right at this level when we broke out through that. But then they, they have the quantum, they have like what's behind them right now. And the tailwind just seems to be a lot more on this side than it is on the software side. So watch out for that. Although Microsoft has been quite a nice move
waking up
as well. So.
A little more from Iran here.
Okay,
Looks like there will be no talks until Iran's demands on cessation of Israel operations in Lebanon and Gaza are met. So,
okay.
Well, I feel like this is, every time you get one step forward, you get at least 1 or 2 steps back so far. So. The market's been able to brush most of this off, though. If you look at the general sense, I mean, the market continues to make some highs. So overall, hasn't been the end of the world, but we are still slightly red on both the ES and NASDAQ after that. There has been a bounce off of the lows. Let's talk about some Intel because ouch is all relative, but today certainly ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah, just to go over this story again here, you can see the headline on the screen, but again, the first part of this here, both being reported by Tasnim, which is an Iranian media outlet. They're saying Iran has stopped message exchanges with the U.S. They're protesting against some of these attacks here from Israel, saying there will not be any talks until Israeli operations in Lebanon and Gaza cease. In the meantime here, let's talk about INTC. Intel, of course, on watch. Now, we know part of this here involves potentially a pullback after what we're seeing with Nvidia at that conference yesterday and some competition, but we also saw from Financial Times yesterday, Intel apparently coming up with a new chip of their own.
Yeah, we're talking about Nvidia making CPUs, and now we're talking about Intel making GPUs. It's a brave new world, baby. And this one is called Crescent Island. It's an AI GPU by Intel. It's going to ship by the end of 26. But a lot of stuff we need to get to here. This is not as simple as just them throwing their hat into the GPU ring. They have many times, and they failed many times. Who remembers Gaudi, the Gaudi 3 chip, and others, and the Falcon Shore successor, all failed chips, never really caught traction with any hyperscalers. So Intel, with this chip, is officially abandoning trying to compete in the premium AI training model. This specific GPU is for inference-related tasks. So they're not trying to compete with Blackwell. They're not trying to compete with the MI450. This is very much a scaled-down version. But what they're doing also is they're kind of getting around the hyper constraints of HBM. They're actually not trying to compete and put the highest bandwidth memory. They're gonna actually put what they're saying is a wide bus memory configuration. That actually slows down on a per chip basis, but what it does is it allows them to put a lot more memory on the circuit board, 480 gigs specifically, so it offsets there. And apparently, according to the company, even though it's slower, they're gonna be able to put more. It's actually gonna have good performance and save them money, if you believe the reports. Also, liquid cooling and air cooling very much in focus here. While a lot of these hyperscalers have been basically plumbing these new data centers to take advantage of these hyperscaler chips by NVIDIA and AMD, it's costing them a fortune to do that. Intel says, look, no, we're gonna base this specific GPU on already existing air cooling systems, 350 watts, so you're not gonna have to design the entire data center. Last but not least, they intend to build this at their own foundry, this GPU. They're gonna do it internally, which is obviously excellent for cost savings. What the trouble is, though, is that their foundry business here is a little unproven, with 18A still having yield issues. Let's see how this does, Adara.
How do you guys feel about INTC today heading into the open?
Well, I was thinking bearish on it regardless of this headline after what happened on Friday. Like triple topped at 125, 1, 2, 3 rejections on last week, and then you were effectively, now you're flat bottom breaking on this headline through call it 113.5. So overall, like the structure is a lower high on the daily, boom, boom. I think you can retest to 100 on this move, maybe even the 50 period on the daily, but that's a long way from here. So I'm shorting pops on this one. You got a good close here on the 19th, which gives you a bit of the gap fill. So that's about 111 and then the 113. So those are the two places I want to short pops on Intel. Pure structure play. Like the headline definitely buoys this move, but the selling was intense on Friday. No question about it on Intel. They already came to play. And for those looking at that last candle at the end of the day, a lot of that, like a lot of it's window dressing. That doesn't really add to things. I was bearish on it regardless. Like just because it got sold on the MSCI doesn't mean that it would sell further. The same way when Nvidia sold on the MSCI doesn't mean it's necessarily going to sell further. But it doesn't help things either. It just gives maybe a little bit more confidence. But it was already going to be a short.
Yeah, I didn't even see that Intel move until after I even wrote this. So 116 to 114. I mean, we looked at Nvidia, we looked at all those moves as well. So it's on my note today, and I think we want to get involved in this move to the back up to the upside here. But the market's not helping. So this probably doesn't even. I mean, if it tries to go, we might have to look at the 110 mark right now. That's $4 higher. Like, do we really think this is going to go up 3% and give us this 110? Will Intel go up 3% today? You know, and if they do, then it's up to this 110, and I think that gives us a good short. So, yeah, I'm looking at a short there for all the reasons that, you know, Sharif had mentioned there. We'll just, you know, see if it's the right play. I, you know, would rather hold Nvidia than Intel, you know, and that's just part of it. So I think, you know, the rotation here on a nice, I'm still on that, on a nice move down for Nvidia is probably to buy it off this 50-period moving average. So I could see traders selling winners, right? And the winners have been AMD, the winners have been Intel. I mean, they're all winners, but look at the move that we've had, right? If you're trying to take some profit in the chip space, Intel was $20 and basically left for dead. Now times have changed, things have gotten a little bit more spicy in the space, and so has Intel, and so has AMD, right? And so I feel like the sell-off in these names is to get liquid and to possibly put money back in to other names that clearly are working. What's the next topic? Oh, we have a lot to go still. So into names like ARM, into names like Dell, some of the names that continue to work, they're selling off winners that we're not as confident with and putting it into hopefully names that we are, like an ARM, like a Marvell. Broadcom reporting later this week as well. There's going to be lots of action in, or is it this week or next week, in the chip space. So get ready for more of this and more of the same heading into what'll probably not be a dull summertime, that's for sure. All right, we only have 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes left now until the open. Crypto's an interesting story because it should be going. Software's going higher. NASDAQ is at all-time highs. We just had two of the best months of all time with April and May, and yet Bitcoin down. Doesn't make any sense to me. Let's go find out what it means at the desk.
It's down. It's also poised for, I mean, very early in the week, but it's poised for its fourth straight red week. And we are, as of right now, Sharif, perilously close to that $70,000 level as even Sailor starts to sell.
We are, yes. MSTR selling Bitcoin for the first time in a while. Under pressure as well is Bitcoin. No Middle Eastern peace over the weekend. Sadly, inflation remains high as a result of oil. So this risk asset not doing so good the last few weeks, Adara.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see here what befalls BTC. Do you guys think it can hold on to 70K today and this week?
Like, we're already getting more pressure because of these headlines driving oil prices higher, which you know is going to put some pressure on Bitcoin. It's quickly some imbalances here. Virgin Galactic's 2.6 million buy side, Nokia 1.2 million buy side, ServiceNow 1.1 million buy side, BBAI 600,000, Redwire 500 to the sell, and Bitcoin 500,000 to the sell side. Well, wanted to short some pops today, and well, we're not getting pops at the open. Well, we could get a pop at the open. We're not getting it in the pre-market. So anything back up into the 41.75 that we like in the afternoon, not going to be a thing. Pop into prior support will be the first place to look. So Friday's lows on IBIT was like 41, so call it like 72.5 or 73 or whatever that works out to. If we get up there, we're going to go pop and fade. Just play the trend into the downside on IBIT.
Yeah, that's what, just texting my mother. I mean, again, IBIT, I have it written down on here, and it's one of 4 ideas for myself today, so I probably will be in this. But look, it's going the wrong way already. Like, it's already starting to go down. When we first wrote this down for IBIT, you know, obviously, even before, like, you know, 7:30, 8 o'clock, you know, we're up here, man. We're at $41. We're thinking that, hey, this does have a chance to get back up. The level that I wrote down was 41.25. I thought that was actually very, very reasonable. And I was worried that this might get filled. Even before the pre-market, but then boom, or before the market opened, there it goes, downside IBIT. So we're still going to play the fade. If it fades higher, we're going to play that. All right, man, USO is going, crude is going up 6% right now, as it does, or 5.5%. Doesn't seem like there's going to be too much negotiation here happening today. President Trump said he was still going to sleep on this whole deal. So I don't know if he woke up on the wrong side of the bed or whatever today, but there it goes, man. Iran has dropping the Strait of Hormuz talk, and I guess they're going to keep it blocked and maybe keep dropping those mines. But here we go. Tesla on our mind every day. Let's go find out what's going on with this EU regulation.
2 minutes here to go into LaBelle, and TSLA near day's lows, but you wouldn't necessarily know it if you heard the catalyst, which is pretty strong here. Lots of EU registration strength.
71% year-over-year bump in Sweden for registrations, 136% in Denmark, 113% in Spain. Norway was already kind of strong, only up 25%, but 655% year-over-year bump in registrations in France. Policy tailwinds as well as higher fuel costs, some of the reasons here. But guys, listen to this. Over 2/3 of the region's total April registrations were EVs. They are adopting EVs, I think, as quickly as China now.
Yeah, EV growth really driving Tesla to the upside, at least metaphorically. How do you guys feel about TSLA as we wait for that opening bell?
Well, everything is looking pretty bearish at the moment. Tesla has a similar, it's not the same as Intel, but it's like a similar rollover type play here. I just didn't think the resistance was going to get met, which was up at the mid 430s to 440. I doubt it pops all the way to get there, but you know, it could be a hands off for me on Tesla. We did get a super chat from Adam James, bro. I want to appreciate you. VCIG $20 today, huh? What you got for us? If so, I haven't thought of anything. VCIG, I'm never going to say again, this is not happening. So, I mean, I doubt it, but congratulations if you got that one long. The market itself is precipitously, well, clearly into the red after that USO headline brought that to the upside. As we got the opening bell right now, don't know why we didn't get the actual bell, but it is open, and well, I guess we don't usually have our graphic there. But immediately, almost immediately, you're going to see the NASDAQ trying to bounce. Remember, it was that Iran headline that spiked USO. More or less everything turned into the red on the markets. Intel did just try to pop. Hit enter a second time there, but did not make it past that 110. So like the first short level did not come into play for INTC. Palantir still dropping.
Yeah,
it's that one heading down towards prior close. That's going to be a big one. That prior close price, 156.5. So it's a 56, 57 area.
Yeah, we're long Palantir already. We're just going to take a little shot here, half unit. We're going to get a little bit more if it comes into 157. Like I said, it's on here as my #1 play. So we're going to have to wait to see if we can get a little longer here in PLTR. We have the play on now. We're long at 70s. It's right here, right now. And we'll see what winds up happening. Taking a little bit longer there at 50. And there it goes, man. Up 40 cents right now for PLTR. Let's see if it wants to keep on going a little higher. We're long at 157 and change right now. There it goes. Your first dollar club, by the way, there on well, maybe. We'll see if it gets up to $1 there on Palantir. There it is right now. There's your dollar early day win right there on PLTR, but you got to take it. It just spiked up to 159, so we're long at 157.60 there. Be careful with this one as we're still coming back in. Watch out for this market and some of these software names. Intel does go upside, of course, into 110. I say of course because you know, it's just kind of the market's going. Intel's trying to go. There's 110. I'm not going to wait at 110. Let's just wait to see if we can be right with it first. Get it going just a little bit more. Nvidia's up huge right now, up 3%. Look at that nice move there for Nvidia, taking out some of those levels. So as Intel kind of hovers, there goes Nvidia. We did talk about rotating some money over into Nvidia last week, and there it goes a little higher. And ARM, Neil, probably. Okay, I was going to say probably broke 4 bills, but not yet. Actually, ARM's pretty sleepy right now, 390 up to 395.
I was going to tell you.
Yeah, ARM not doing a whole heck of a lot, and nothing really hitting my scanners yet. We'll just continue to watch the names we're watching.
I was going to tell you, it's actually not ARM that's going flying higher after that headline. It's going to be Dell. Dell up 4.5 points here as it just got to the 440 level. So I guess it is going to do the same thing that Snowflake did, which was break out on day 2 after earnings and not care too much about that day 1 move. Bitcoin is, I mean, the market's bouncing nicely. Whoops, I just went to Intel instead of IBIT. Ha ha ha. You can tell, the market's bouncing. Intel's getting to that level to short. IBIT's not doing anything. So with the market bouncing and trying to go green here, here's a NASDAQ trying to go, this still remains relatively weak. So I'm going to look at VWAP to 41 here on IBIT, try to catch that offer and fade this one. I like this fade probably as much, if not more, than Intel. So I'm just going to sit here, see if I can pick up some 4080s on IBIT. Palantir did come into that 157, so I'm now in. And Intel's the other one that we're watching on some strength. It's getting into that 110. It's actually 111, the level I like. But if it does a trend break sooner, then I don't mind jumping into this one, like somewhere up here in front of the 110 level if we have to. But IBIT could be the next one after Palantir. Just needs to punch one step higher, and then we'll get into that short.
All right, yeah, we've averaged into Palantir. We're at 157.50, so that's going to be the play for me for right now. We're going to have to give it just a little bit of space, and we'll see where it winds up going there. Big position for myself there on PLTR. All right, Virgin Galactic. We're going to wait to see. I mean, we're still trying to get some more on Palantir, but like I said, man, we're trying to represent what we're trying to do. $8 right there for Virgin Galactic. I mean, we had written down here on the note $7 long. Of course, the low of the day right there in the open market is exactly 703 or something like that. So that would have been a good one as we watch out for that space, in particularly there with Rocket Labs as well. I mean, we were waiting out for SpaceX to come, right? That's supposed to be June the 12th. So with SpaceX on the rise here very, very soon, you can see already, man. And I tried to warn everybody last week. We showed our sort of that contest that we had up there, and I was like, you know, Ramin's been on quite the nice run, but you can see some of these names now, so there it is, starting to pull back again. So gave forewarning last week, and now it's basically 5 or 6 straight down days, but there's a lot of love today for space, Virgin Galactic, so watch out for that one. The SOXL, we talked about that being the #1 traded name here at Real Trading last month. There it goes upside again, now trying to fade back just a little bit here for the SOXL. We'll have to wait to see what's going on right there. Now down 1.5%, so that's something to look at. NASDAQ tried to make its way back upside. Remember, we do have the stock visualizer, so that's been something that's been a lot of fun for us. So if you guys do vote.
Up top is.
Yeah, okay, there it is right now. Let's go. We're taking a little bit out there. We just took a little bit out at 158. There for Palantir, and again, just worth doing some damage on this name. It's not going higher, so if we can get some out right there at 158, I like that trade. As I just put on though, we're still holding this, waiting for a lot more, but we want to take a little bit out. I do have another offer at 158.75. We'll see the one that we missed when we thought we were going to get it, but we did not. Spread opened up and missed that. And then I've been talking a little bit about SoFi. You know, we put some money into SoFi at $16, which was pretty lucky. It went to 19 on Friday, and then now today, whoops, all the way back down. SoFi has the ability to trick you at all times, so be careful about SoFi there. Always the mover early, and then it seems to fade out late. So.
If you don't get the first move on SoFi, you just have to get stupid patient with it. That's what happened on Friday when it eventually held this $17.75, $18 level. If it can do it again, that's what I'll take another shot at it if it does it again. Palantir, for me, we're scalping into the volume weighted average price on this dip. Just got the $0.50, so it held 58s, now 158 half. Now looking for that volume weighted average price, 159.5.
Oh, let's go.
IBIT is pulling into VWAP, so that one, as the market's bouncing here, going to give us a short opportunity. Been putting in some lower highs all pre-market. That's with USO continuing to crest higher. So looking for the LOD here on IBIT.
Like this is now, and I mean, we talked about hitting our daily goals. There it is, the #1 trade idea on here right there has just hit goals 2 times our daily goal right there. It's glad to be back. It's glad to be with you, but this is what traders got to do, man. You put on trades that you like, you push them, and there it goes. So there goes Palantir up to 159. We feel blessed every day to be here with you guys every single day and be able to do this. Like, I still have 75% of this trade as we get back into VWAP, man. There goes Palantir. Oh boy, if you guys wanted to know, I could put the sticky note right now in the chat, but this is where it is right there. This is why we're doing the show. You know, we're trying to educate you guys, give you some trade ideas. This is what trade ideas? Trying to give you some of those. So there's the Palantir long. The only name that's come close to anything, although SpaceX hits the very bottom, but we didn't take it. So, or not SpaceX, sorry, Virgin Galactic. There it goes right now. Now we're not Neil, we're not at the $1 club, man. We are now at the $2 club. I hope you all took a little bit of fun here with our good friend Palantir. We are now at 3 times our daily goal here with this one trade, as there goes Palantir. Intel up to 110 and change as well. This has been quite a nice run upside there for PLTR so far today. Nice move down right into our lap. I mean, this is why we write down 157. It comes in, we take it 3 times, and the rest is history. Upside huge. What a way to start the month. so far here. As we just, there it is, man. We could exit right now and have our goals maybe almost for the week. So we need these a little bit higher. But with SpaceX coming, we're gonna need to build up the account a little bit here.
Those are different. The month ended well last week.
Oh,
It'll
boy.
start well. Got right to view up for my target, so I'm in, I'm out. Sometimes it actually works even cleaner than you would expect.
Oh, yeah.
I would argue that one did as well. So it'll be 2x any bad trades that ever happened. But we're going to the downside overall still in Bitcoin. And the way I see it, if the NASDAQ stays strong, and the NASDAQ has now given you a full V-shaped recovery from when we had that Iran headline. If it can stay strong and Bitcoin remains under VWAP, then you know that one's going to be a dog. Now, the other play that's starting to come into fruition, Intel's trending higher, trying to close that gap in. It's been all green, but there's a lot of room for Intel to go. 113 would be the obvious, go to the 15-minute chart. 113 is the prior low area. So if it gets up to here, that's when I would look for a bit of reversion. Remember, this is a strong mover. It's actually stronger than what I'm seeing over in the NASDAQ. So it requires more patience before getting into it. We did mention Dell and ARM. Dell now 9% to the upside. Absolutely flying here after the ridiculous earnings. And ARM also going. ARM's now broken back through the 400 level. And 15% on ARM.
Yes.
15%. Let that one sink in for a second. Because this one was, well, what can we say? ARM has had a fantastic week. But look at it, you're about to have a huge reversal candle. The market shrugs off this oil news and just doesn't care. USO's at the high, and the NASDAQ, they're buying it anyways. Love it. That's the thing about a bull market, everybody. It doesn't have to be rational. It just has to go up.
Yep, it's pretty rational though, I feel like. Everything right now is moving where we thought, like, we all called these plays, so it makes a little bit of sense. I mean, the earnings are there for names like Palantir even. Palantir had what was, Alex Karp, of course, called the best quarter. And now you're starting to see a little bit of an extension now in that. I mean, it just took a minute. Dell had a fantastic quarter. As Neil mentioned, they're blasting up. ARM got all the talk by Nvidia. They're busting out. Snowflake, another great one as well. But, oh boy, man, wow, what a difference maker today for me on this name Palantir. And I'm just putting it out on the Twitter machine there because this was one of our big ideas. That's Dell. IBIT, I think, is just one of those things where we could have gone short right off the jump, and we could have probably played it on VWAP. Obviously, a little bit sidetracked with the trade that we have on right now, but that was a good little level there for IBIT. Kind of just bouncing off of 40, 50 maybe. Right now is trying to find a base. I don't really see any particular reason why we would bounce from here. I mean, we're under everything we were last week, and I just don't see the potential right now for crypto to do anything. I mean, we're waiting for some tokenization to sort of kick through there and some of that talk to get back going upside. And then I think that would help a name like Ethereum, because every single time there's talk of tokenization, Ethereum should be getting a little bit of a bump there based on how that all works, right? I mean, some of these stable coins and whatnot being built over on that smart contract. Here's Salesforce. We need it to hold 05, we said. I'd like to see a close there in and around 05, so that's $205. Salesforce right now battling with that exact level. We were up there before. We just touched the pre-market high, and now a little bit of a fall back in there into 197. So let's see what winds up happening now. Salesforce, nice move, up 6 and a bit percentage points. JP Morgan, however, I think was still going lower, right? That just came, yeah, well, no, actually, no. So JP Morgan just came in upside there again. So just saw that on the scanner. There we go. But oh boy, man, it is Palantir to the rescue. Well, we don't need to be rescued, but you are right, man. That is the money. Spin that. Well, yeah, we might as well spin it. Thank you for whoever said money, money, money there, because there it goes now. Palantir, now $3 and change in the money. It just takes, we can read the book all you want, but it just takes one good trade, and there it goes, upside for PLTR.
I love that book. And remember what that book is all about. Just one, then find the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
Find the next one, then find the next one. And if the next one is going to be a short on Intel, it's still going to require a little bit more patience. This one of the things that worked really well last month and certainly this year, is just a little bit of extra patience when shorting strong names. Like, look at how strong this one is going. It's stronger than the overall market, so I can like the short, but you got to wait for it to either to get to your level or show something different, and that's going to be a trend break, at least for myself. IBIT was able to just get to VWAP and then pull back into the lows. It's also got a bit of a trend line from the pre-market going. So you got lower high. Continue to play the lower highs in the volume weighted average price reloads until this one, I don't know, either follows the market, which has happened before. We've seen that happen overall, till it either follows the market or just finds a definitive bottom, maybe at the 70,000 level. Robinhood, even worse, down 8% now. So the rest of crypto land is getting smacked, even worse than what you're seeing over here in IBIT. Coinbase down 5.5%. And this is into the NASDAQ turning back green again. Some chip names absolutely flying. So this crypto, I don't know, winter, I suppose, is continuing to go even as the weather heats up. Not looking very good for my man, Michael Saylor, that is.
What's up, Scott? What's up to everybody in the chat? We only have 1 minute now until 9:45. Is there numbers?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, there's numbers coming out at 9:45. So we'll do a little roll call when we get back. Right now it's S&P Manufacturing. Get into that chat, man. We're in a damn good mood today there as we get $4 right now. It's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 3. There you go, Ozan. $4 right there in the money for Palantir. And yeah, man, we did it here again for everybody today. I hope you're enjoying the show. It's been a good one. I want to thank Michael Noss for coming on early. Let's go back over to Adara right now for these numbers. It's PMI.
So this is the least closely watched of the 2 PMI prints we're going to get. At 10 a.m., we're going to get the more closely watched ISM manufacturing PMI data for May. In the meantime, S&P manufacturing PMI for, you guessed it, May. 55.3 is the forecast. 55.3 is also the previous print. So we aren't expecting too much of a change here. We'll get this number in just 1 second, coming in at 55.1, so slightly lower than that forecast and the prior print of 55.3. Again, at 10 a.m., you get ISM manufacturing PMI. You also get construction spending month over month. Here's the S&P 500, not too much of a reaction to this number. Here's the NASDAQ, both kind of hanging out near intraday highs here, but below these pre-market highs, nothing too crazy. Back to you.
All right, there you go. So I mean, the market getting a little bit of a bump on that. I mean, what I'm watching is bumping anyways, so it's tough to sort of judge what's happening in the overall market when you're watching on Palantir. But you're still underneath VWAP right now, and you know the only other name that I was sort of thinking about trading might have been Intel up at these levels. I'm going to try to let this market settle down. Just for those of you playing along at home, I only have about 20% left on Palantir, but still a decent amount, and that 20% is about, yeah, it's about a third of a unit right now, so it's not huge, but good trade there. I obviously wish we had held the whole kit and caboodle, but it's a huge move up there for Palantir. $4+ and still going. I mean, Dell's going. You know, that Rocket Lab, they're trying to come back in. There's been some weakness in the space for sure today, and starting with some of those space names, but wow, Dell, another 7%. Like, this name just keeps on climbing higher and higher. And then we also heard that ARM was, okay, what happened to that? That went to 410, and yeah, and then just kind of collapsed there back into VWAP again. So, oh well.
No, but literally the moment I talked about it after
the open I didn't even see that.
Was actually the high on ARM, unfortunately. That's just, it is what it is. I think a lot of times what will happen is things will flash on your scanners when they are hitting levels like that and when they're getting all that kind of exuberance. But ARM, fantastic. It's still up 12%, respected. Virgin Galactic actually leading. Oh, sorry, never mind. Virgin Galactic no longer leading our stock visualizer. That's going to be Nvidia, as Nvidia has overtaken Virgin Galactic on the visualizer. Number 1, number 2 is still Virgin Galactic. ServiceNow is going to be in the number 3. You see Microsoft, AMC's up 10%. Hey, you know it's a bull market if AMC's up 10%. Palantir, of course, IBM, and some of the software names absolutely flying. Remember, Quantum still has that nice boost under it from the US Gov. But Virgin Galactic bounced clean off 7. It's trying to hold VWAP here. This seems like you got the wipeout bottom and you're still putting in these higher lows. So this might be a little bit of something. Intel did not press into the short level, so maybe a little too patient. Looking for that 113, it curled at 111.
All right.
What's up, Joey?
Yeah, Joey doing some damage over here. I can check what Joe's up to right now. Joe on, he's got DRAM and Facebook. Nice calls there, Joe, Joe and I very much trading alike, and you know, he likes those big cap names as well. So we'll shout out to Joe there today. Yeah, Meta. You know, we did see here. We could call up some Meta. Yeah, I can call up FBL. I don't really trade that, but there's 623. Yeah, this name again, like, you know, they started to get going there, and now I think some of the, you know, the sort of light has taken away from Meta. We had a 30 or something, a $40 winner or something that day that they announced that they were coming back and putting up that subscription service there for WhatsApp and all of that. And then I kind of came on the next day and was like, you know what? I mean, they added so much there in market cap for a $5 subscription or whatever. Let's see if they can actually, you know, roll it out and what the response has been. But right now, Meta back into the downside. Everybody liked it with its PE. I still think it has a decent opportunity to get back to the upside. But as we know, PE ain't all that right now. But yeah, that's what we're looking at. Another name there, Coinbase, potentially, you know, with crypto heading to the downside, we could try to fade something there on Coinbase. You know, back up through VWAP right now, actually looking pretty strong, you know, above VWAP, above the 25 period and above the 50 mark, looking stronger now for Coinbase. We'll see if Bitcoin finds a bottom. I still don't want to look at it until it gets above 72,000 and hit some of the levels that we're talking about over there. I don't think we got filled. I mean, it was like 1175 or 1150 something. I'll have to go check my SMR. I don't think I kept it in there for multiple days, so we definitely didn't. No, well, maybe we did. I just don't think we got filled yet. But I still think that uranium and energy has a play here, right, in the data centers. So, you know, look out for some SMR there. The name that I missed out on.
IPO this week.
Yeah, I missed out on IREN. I know that's more of a natural power, but CEG has come back in as well. So this is another name looking to maybe get some more shares in, but seems a little broken. CEG is IREN going the way of the dodo bird as well. It was upside for all last week, and now a little bit of a pullback there in the last couple of days. There's IREN on an I run since as of late. So that's a good name. And then I wanted to get into some GEV, which has been pulling back quite nicely as well. That was 1100 top. Maybe 1200 top actually, all the way back now to 950, and definitely looking like it wants to break a bit here. So we'll wait to see if we can get something on GE Vernova, as the data center build out is obviously a thing that we want to continue to support. Good outs there, Palantir up into pre-market highs. Maybe drop some if it breaks back down below 160, but we're pretty happy letting this thing continue to run. So good, so far so good here on all these plays. I hope you guys are having a great day. Definitely around here, it's been one of those as well. So what do you think about Air J?
Well, into Air J? Okay, well, thank you for the super chat, Ruby. Yeah. 420, well, I like the number. Intel's really, really pulling back now. I don't know if we're going to forget about the 113 and things like that, but what is this Air J stock? Montana Technologies Corporation. Hey, it's done 1 million shares, so at least there's some volume in here. Up 20 points. I don't know the story with it, so all we can do is a little bit of technical analysis, which would tell you the trend is your friend to the end when it bends. I mean, it's got a double bottom. It's pulling right into a chop zone here. The $6 area, maybe some resistance, and it has a chance to get there today. I don't know what the short float is on here, but usually when I see something like this, I'm expecting the short float to be a bit of a story for these guys. They also, they registered a direct offering last week. Well, if you go up after an offering, that's typically a pretty positive sign. Howard the Usher, a bull market can stay irrational longer than you can remain solvent. That is entirely true. Just ask anybody like Michael Burry, who he timed one of the shorts right, but was already out of it by the time. You know, he seemingly had it right by like a month or two. Like I think it was a year and a half ago, but had to get out. And fundamentally, you can be right about something, but it doesn't really make a difference if you can't hold on to the position long enough for it to eventually turn around. So, I tend to 100% agree with you. Although the NASDAQ is starting to pull back in, a name we didn't talk too much about except for right before the open. Tesla, still not really pressing any higher. It's at VWAP. The more I see a lot of this market trend down from the open, here's the cues. If we can't hold on to VWAP, I'm looking for something un-IBIT related to try to get a short trade in. And if it's not going to be Intel, the only other places I would have thought would have been AMD, because AMD had the negative story here. with the competition from Nvidia, and that's even lower. Like you're having to punch short the low of the day on AMD. So we'll still have to find the entry into Intel to add to IBIT because this does feel like a short for now.
Okay, everybody. Yeah, thanks again for everybody being here. I actually asked Adara, and I don't know if Commodity King is in the chat or not, but every time we talked about Samsara, I was like, shh. Let's keep IoT on the sidelines right there. But there it goes, finally starting to break up. So IoT right now, Samsara, finally starting to get back. Yes, Adira?
Yeah, there's still nothing beyond they report earnings on Thursday. I just looked into it.
Okay, yeah, so, I mean, reporting on Thursday, really like this name, man. We've been buying this name on these dips. So, we're into IoT, in the money now. As that continues to work out, we'll watch out for Samsara and see if the Internet of Things continues to take off there. They're into transportation and a few different spots there where I think can start to really pick up a little bit there. And then, BBIA, never heard of that name, but here's BBAI. And
that's an actual symbol?
Another name, I don't know, maybe. Another name here that we've been looking at, up now 4% today. This had a great day on Friday and then pulled back right there, right off the open. So we were up huge in the pre-market on Big Bear, and then it really got faded back into that 470 area. So that's why we talked about, when you get that kind of profit like we do on Big Bear AI, might be worth looking at some opportunities to take something out on that one. Didn't we get a super chat there? Oh yeah, we talk about this Timothy Doolittle one on there right now. We can quickly go over it. Oh, okay, you got it up there now. So, look, this is what we're doing now on everything we're talking about. Should I take a break after huge wins last week, 10x gains, and chill out for a while, or keep pushing? Take a break is my advice. I would say you could do both. You could actually chill out and take a break. Chill out by maybe keep some of that profit in your pocket. Regardless of how much money it is, like we said, we all have different ideas of what success looks like. So for you, if 10x is obviously a huge week. I mean, if you're talking about weekly gains, I would say, yeah, man. I mean, you don't want to push so that you give it all back this week and then all of a sudden you forget about last week. So, put some of that money aside. We always love the fact of trading with house money is a good idea. So this is just advice that I'm giving. If I was up 10x, look, I was so silly. I took out profits. I bought ARM at 200, took some out at 300, and we'll be taking some out today at 400, right? So this is not 10x, that's 2x. So you got to think about what levels you're talking about here, what that money means to you, and then potentially trade that way. Instead of thinking that everything's always going to moon and everything's always going to go higher. We did get that talk as well about Micron. Is that going to go to 1,500? I don't know. But the momentum is there for that. So if you're already in the money on a Micron and you're happy with your gains, it was 750 a week and a half ago. So take that, right?
Yeah, that doesn't look good.
Hezbollah continues its attacks. Well, we haven't looked at. Well, I haven't looked at USO really.
I have it up.
Since this market's been open.
We're still flying actually. USO's now up almost 7% here.
Right.
And remember, the oil futures, like USO oil futures, same-ish. That broke trend. Like we clearly broke trend and we're looked like for a bit of a breakdown to the end last week, and now you're right back above the 50. I think I said, someone was asking in the chat, where could we go? 130, I might have said 130, but 139 I guess is the key level. So a bit of a correction there. 139 was the last major level. I mean, if you're just looking at technicals, not that matters. So it's just a trend up. I feel like it'll be better for the markets if we get some kind of definitive top or trend break here, or at least some kind of consolidation over in USO. Until that happens, things are going to remain a little bit weak. And you can pick and choose, but we've basically gone red here on the NASDAQ and the ES, and it has been mostly downtrend. So individual names looking very good, but the overall market is still reacting to that oil headlines, to the Iran headlines, and we continue to see negative news, unfortunately. But that's all right. You just got to be in the right places. You've already seen some crazy runners like Dell. Hopefully that actually holds on to its gains.
Yeah. Oh boy.
If Dell, never mind. That just lost VWAP.
Yeah. So
Dell just lost VWAP. That was 460. Now you're already back into 440. You need a couple of these big boys to actually show some higher lows because the NASDAQ's right back into the bottom.
So we have less than 5% left of Palantir, which has given me all of the monies that we need today. And there it is. So we talked about the break of 160, multiple outs right there on that break. I'm holding a small piece. Look, I did offer out 159.50. I did offer 159.70. So we should, well, maybe we'll get a piece if it just bumps up a little bit. We're at 50. Actually, we're at 159.51. Okay, we just got filled, so there it is. So there's the fill there. We're also offering something in the 70s just to get lighter and lighter and lighter. Now under 5% left of Palantir. But as we said, man, just make that one trade. And I might not put on, and I told you when I was long there, I said this is a big position. So we liked it. It was the #1 idea on my board, so we took it, right? I mean, I think that's what you need to do as a trader is trust your instinct just a little bit. All right, so Adair coined something called Seanfidence. I like that one. I got to have some more Seanfidence, I feel like. There's 111 for Intel. Again, you know, the short that we wanted, and I remember talking about it up here, but didn't put it on. You know, the market was really getting going there. We do have at 10 o'clock.
Weird volume spike here in crypto.
In crypto, okay. 71.7. Volume, though, yeah, not really price. We do have right here ISM manufacturing coming out at 10. So we just got S&P manufacturing PMI for May. We're going to get ISM manufacturing. We're expected 53.2. And what did we just get? We got, for USA, we got 55.1 versus 55.3. So in less than 1 minute, we'll get that to you, and Adara will repeat it, and we'll have some good news, hopefully, on the ISM manufacturing. And then we also have construction spending coming out in for April coming out right now. So there it is, man. We get that Palantir, so bang, 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 159.75. So we're getting lighter and lighter, and we're going to go to Adara for 30 seconds here until those numbers come out. So, before we go, I want to talk about Hood. Robinhood down 8% today as crypto, but hopefully, just Neil reminded me there, he said crypto maybe spiking there. Robinhood, whoopsies. Great week last week, not so much to start this week. Maybe we can pick up some more Robinhood down there in the mid 70s. What's up, Adara?
Seconds away now from that ISM manufacturing PMI print. As Sean mentioned here, forecast 53, prior print 52.7. Construction spending month-over-month for April, forecast 0.2% versus prior print of 0.6%. ISM manufacturing PMI higher than expected, guys, 54 versus that estimate of 53. Construction spending month-over-month 0.4%. So that's going to be higher than the forecast of 0.2%, but below the prior print of 0.6%. Once again here, following a lower than expected S&P manufacturing PMI print, we get a higher than expected ISM manufacturing PMI print. A little bit of an uptick here in this NASDAQ. I'll switch to the S&P 500, show you guys how that's looking. Both of these bouncing a little bit here. We know we had a drop leading into the open for the market as we digested some headlines coming out of the Middle East that are, we'll say, less than positive. I'm just hearing the last couple of minutes that Israel is warning residents of certain areas of Beirut, Lebanon, to get out because they're preparing potential strikes. They're calling these strikes retaliatory. We know that Iran has already said that they're halting conversations with the U.S. Again, this is being reported by Iranian media, so keep that in mind. But they're saying that due to the fact that U.S. is associating itself with Israel, which continues to strike Lebanon, they're not going to be able to negotiate with the U.S. right now. So if we get more details on that, of course, we will keep you posted. In the meantime, we also have to talk here about NVIDIA. NVDA, this is probably one of the biggest stories heading into the market before, of course, the Iran headline kind of shifted things around here. But NVDA came out, and they also made a whole bunch of announcements here during that Jensen Huang keynote yesterday. We know there was Computex in Taipei, also GTC Taipei, so lots of events going on there. They did announce a PC chip, rather, powered by ARM, initially gapping up, but giving back quite a lot of that strength here early on in the session. We're going to send you back over to Sean and Neil for more trading action.
Before we go to the ad read here, look at Cerberus right now, down 8%. So let's hope that Virgin Galactic, SpaceX coming through may have something similar to that. But remember, it was a good IPO. We'll just have to wait to see. On day one, it had a nice spike and then, of course, closed lower. So we'll have to wait to see there. Cerberus, only 3 positive days. But traders, get ready for the biggest trading event Trade the Pool has ever been a part of. The Trading World Championship 2026 is coming together with top trading brands from across the industry. And it all starts very soon, June the 8th. This is your chance to win huge prizes, including over $20,000 in cash rewards, evaluation accounts, exclusive giveaways, and access to special live events happening throughout the competition. The only way to join and to register, it's completely free. So get on board of that. Don't miss your shot. Scan the QR code on your screen right now. Sign up and join the Trading World Championships of 2026. Potentially a play on some football championships that will be happening.
Never heard of it.
Sharif gave the pick of Belgium as a possible
I saw in the
pick
chat
as
a
well.
lot of people liked Ecuador.
Yeah, Ecuador. Okay,
That would seem like a popular
Yeah,
sleeper
Ecuador,
pick.
and then I think Brazil was another one that he was saying maybe wasn't getting the hype that it usually does. So we'll have to wait to see on Brazil coming into play there on that. It should be a lot of fun no matter what team you're cheering for. Get ready for that. Apparently Game 6 of the Knicks series versus the Spurs will be happening on the same day of some sort of a big match there in New York
my
for the
goodness.
World Cup. So that's about to go crazy. And
Rest in peace, trying to move around the city.
I knew some people in Paris over the weekend, and I saw some of the stories
burned
that she had put up there, and it was hot fire there. So watch out for New York. If the Knicks ever win, man, hide your kids, hide your wife. New York going to be
like
one
if the
of
Leafs
those
won.
cities again. Yeah, so that's going to be really fun. So yeah, I'm excited. I don't know. I have to talk to Joe here because I cannot vote. I cannot cheer for the Las Vegas Knights. It has nothing to do with Mitch Marner, of course. And we will be cheering for the Canes if Joe. I do owe Joe beers. So he picked.
I thought you guys were double or nothing. It's not over.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. But I have to make sure that he agrees with the Knights. So Joe, it's on him. I'll take the Canes if you want.
Wait, you're not going to double or nothing, Joe? Come on, man.
Okay, well,
Have
yeah,
some
I don't
fun.
know.
It's-
I don't know. I'm trying to double.
If you get a free roll to be double or nothing,
trying.
going into like the championship, it just makes the championship more fun, especially if you get to back.
I mean, this beers could turn into beers and dinner. You know, this is why I'm trying to have some fun over
or
here with
just,
my guy
or
over
just
there.
like better drinks. I don't know.
Yeah. Or
bit,
doubles,
step it up.
maybe. But no, shout out over there. Either way, we're going to go out and have some fun. It's great patio weather, so we got to do that no matter what. So, yeah.
Next time we'll just actually go to a place that has, when you go to the patio, actually has sun.
Yeah, yeah, we were on, Neil and I on Thursday, was it?
No judgment. Where did we go?
We went to Moxie's.
Yeah, no judgment, Moxie's, but
Well, they don't have, I mean, they're right downtown.
yeah,
amongst
it's
skyscrapers.
It's a really awkward patio.
Yeah.
You know,
And it wasn't, of course, we were meeting our friends there.
it wasn't our pick.
They're exciting people.
Why is AMC up 20%?
Oh, by the way, you know, Raheem. Go ahead.
Apparently, they had incredible May 2026 numbers. That's what I was reading. And honestly, like, given a lot of the horror movies that were doing really well in May, I know Obsession broke some records.
Mandalorian.
Not super shocking here that AMC did particularly well in May of 26.
There's the what's the one with like the shoot. Well, what's the guy?
Or Backrooms, I'm seeing
what?
it tonight.
Backrooms.
No
that's what
spoilers,
it's
guys.
called.
I'm seeing it tonight.
The trailer looks really good for it. It's like
I don't even have no idea what it is.
Thriller film. Backrooms.
What stock? Backrooms?
Backrooms is a crazy,
Oh, okay.
apparently really popular movie.
I never heard of it. Is that a
Did really
big
well.
actor? What is that?
He's the guy from 12 Years a Slave.
I'm looking it up. What's it called? Backrooms.
Backrooms.
I don't know spoilers. I know
The
Adair's gonna watch
trailer
it. I
looks
never-
really. I mean, like I love thriller films.
okay.
Marissa probably really like that one, so I'm considering.
It's in
kinda
the
watching
theater,
it.
eh?
It's in the theater. I think it just came out. this week.
This guy. Yeah, I just showed it.
You know the guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, here.
Though you've probably seen him in a bunch of stuff.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, let's go, man. This one of the back rooms over here? That looks like an old abandoned office building over here. So, okay, that's
It's like based on like liminal space.
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff, too.
So it looks-
shout out.
It looks spicy.
Yeah, good, Adair. You're going tonight, Adair, or?
Yes, I'm meeting up with my friend tonight. Very, very excited. I know some people in this office already watched it. So, yeah, should be a good time.
Oh, okay.
Is it R? It's probably
Probably,
R-rated, huh?
probably Fabian.
It's got a 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb, which is good. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Fabian said it was pretty.
Fabian
good.
said it was pretty good over there.
All right. Well, the market is still. It's still looking weak, everybody. I don't know what to tell you. There was. I mentioned that there had been a volume spike, like right here in IBIT. That trailed me out, but it looks like nothing really happened. You know, like you had the market still going higher. Sorry, the USO still going higher. There was no big spike there. It just might have been like a weird Bitcoin kind of thing. So I'll try to jump back in if we get VWAP. Now that things have settled down a little bit, Intel's still doing. It's still looking pretty weak. Hasn't really bounced back to give a lower high, like the volume weighted average price for an entry into the short side of the trade. If we don't get that, fair enough. Might have just missed out on our other short idea. And then SoFi's calmed down a little bit. SoFi goes exactly into, well, more or less into Friday's lows right here. That's just a bad dark pool wick. This 17.7 level holds pretty decently. But it's either double bottom or let's play the 18 higher lows off of VWAP. SoFi starting to rebound a little bit here. It gave you the 18 trade multiple times on Friday, and it looks like we're getting a little something similar. But yeah, this looks pretty good. Give it to like 17.94. Want to see it close above VWAP. Give me a close above VWAP, and then we'll try to grab this one for a bit of a bounce play on SoFi.
Thanks for everybody saying that or someone said, maybe, I don't know, I saw one person say it anyways, I looked pretty rested. I don't know how. We were up really early. We had such a super busy weekend, but I could have no more fun than watching, my kids and everything that they're doing. So a big shout out there. I had to go on Friday. I wasn't here on Friday. I went to one of her games, which was 9 o'clock, I think, on the ice, which wasn't too bad. And then I went to go pick up my 24-year-old who just graduated university. So I've got 3 kids and all doing various other things. And then we also had a great opportunity to get back on the pitch, on the pitch. Still thinking soccer there on the weekend. We had the Red Sox, and then we also had the girls team. These guys have great chicken gyros right there. You get it on salad, fries, the gyro sandwich itself, like a shawarma. Very, very great there. This is where I'm telling them, guys, the SaaS, software as a service names, are probably going higher. Get involved there. And they look at me and say, what about baseball? We had a game and a practice, and then for the girls team, and then we also had 2 games for the house league team as well this weekend, as baseball is in full effect one more time everywhere right now, as a little bit of a dull period for sports as you get the Stanley Cup and the not WNBA, they're full force. The NBA championship starting Wednesday, NHL tomorrow night. Okay, so there's Marvell down. Marvell had a nice spike up, and again, just talking about taking profits, right? We got that super chat before. Everybody do their own thing. That is 100% for sure. But Marvell on the run up, right? I mean, we talked about Marvell pretty much all year, and then here's the contest that we have going on right now on our office, and we all made picks on January the 12th. So whatever the price was in January 12th is what was booked into here. And right now we've got, this is what the results have been. Mateo down there, Neil down here, Fabian, Adara, chat, blah, 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 as we go up. There's Joe, man, making a run, my guy. The Katina Wilson Capital. Maybe we need to employ Obi as well at some point there. Joe, I'll let you make the HR decisions. But right there, 43% we're up. And a lot of that has to do with, of course, Marvell. So we just get back to zeros right now on Eli Lilly, and we got Marvell. So we've been talking about that one. And I do want to thank everybody, and especially our girl Ramin. And by the way, I wasn't here on Friday. We had a great situation here with gentleman from BNN came through, and then I don't know, I have to find mine. If you go over here, there was a Marvell one right here. I want to thank a lot of likes, a lot of comments, so only 2 comments, but a lot of likes on this one, and some views on our Marvell call that we made on that date. So Joe also has got CrowdStrike, some nice plays popping off there as well. So yeah, man, having lots of fun here every single day, and just hope that you guys can come back with us, and we may or may not do another one of those coming up very, very soon. Palantir here. Okay, nice little battle back. I was wondering if we were going to get to VWAP. I was going to wait around for that 160. I have an offer there, but we did have a nice move back higher. I did get some out at 158.50 there, or 60. What was it? Whatever that break was there, 68s. So we got to play there, and just seeing that spike up to 159.70 again, something to watch out for on PLTR. There it is. We just got it. So okay, now we're getting lesser and lesser. Someone just said Oscar having a nice day. I love Oscar.
We saw healthcare getting a nice little bounce.
All right.
We had Michael Noss even talking about how good healthcare has been. Oscar, yeah, definitely 2%, 2.5%, almost 3% to the upside. I'm curious about that Humana. How's that doing? Yeah, above that 330. 9%. Okay, well, when I saw Oscar up 3%, I'm not going to lie, I was like, okay, well, Humana's probably somewhere in that range. It wouldn't be more, would it? And of course it is. So Humana up 9%. There's that breakout we were talking about this morning. I'm sure UNH is having a very good day as well. But you can just look at sometimes the ETF. But one of the things I like that Michael does is he'll start with the ETF and then sometimes break it down to, well, what's the best looking thing inside of it. so you can maybe get a little bit more bang for your buck, which I'm a huge fan of. Like, I like to try to find the best name in the space. So we got that VWAP hold on SoFi. We're giving it to the prior low. SoFi on Friday sold almost all morning long until about 10:30 when it really got going. It was like scalp to VWAP, scalp to VWAP. It's already putting in a higher low. Not really getting the bottom here, so it's a relatively tight stop. Again, giving it about 10, 15 cents, looking for that high. But I don't mind taking another shot here at 17.8. It's this long, still trying to figure out if we're going to get back into IBIT, which is entirely up to IBIT. Whether it's still putting in these lower highs, so VWAP's holding, the lower highs are holding. There was just that one big volume spike that trailed it out, but I'm still shorting pops in Bitcoin as long as it wants to do anything for me. The other thing is this AMC. This feels like a reversion shot. So it's up, I get it, they have good numbers, and it's a good weekend at the box office and all that good stuff, so congratulations, AMC. But I'll be looking for a curl in this one. Do we have free locates? Usually.
Probably.
Yeah, we usually do.
Do we?
Oh, no. Wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I guess not. Okay, well, I guess we got to pay for shorts on AMC. We usually don't have to pay for shorts on AMC. I guess it's more popular when it's up 17%, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was there at, again, I'm not doing too much now. I'm trying to find some good opportunities to get in. We did talk about some Robinhood, and, we could have faded that IBIT. I know Neil was just talking about we could have faded some IBIT there. We didn't do that. We could have faded some Robinhood as well right here at VWAP. Yeah, I saw you ask, and I was just about to ask. And then, so thanks, Randy. For the coffee over there.
He just sneaks up on us.
Yeah, man, that's all good. We're gonna we had little quiches for lunch, and then Neil actually showed these. I'm sure you must have showed them on Friday.
No, Mark came after market.
Okay,
so yeah, we got these after, or did I?
Yeah, there used to be these.
No, maybe I did show it on Friday.
Yeah, so these are medals that we used to get as traders on a prop floor. One is Grand Master Trader, one is Master Trader, and one is $1 million trader. So obviously I've been here long enough that we can flex the $1 million trader. So if you do something long enough, maybe you'll get to that level as well. But there it is right there. So we say, gold, silver, and bronze. We say shout out to that one. Got to make like this. This should be my little, how like little, what is it, little Uzi Vert? Who had the diamond? Little Uzi. Okay, so there you go. So we were.
I think he since had it removed, but yes, he did have it at one point.
Yeah.
Well,
very smart rolling around with
$1
million diamond or whatever with multiple millions embedded in his face.
Somebody stole it.
Yeah, somebody stole it. Maybe it was the same person that stole. There was something else happened at that time. Some other traders. These rappers are always getting rolled. It seems like if they're going to clubs at the wrong times.
Well, if you're literally advertising,
that's the thing. It's like
this is how I'm rolling.
I mean, you're
basically asking. Look, no one's asking to get jacked.
I know there was somebody. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna, and that's awesome. That's part of being on a prop floor. And actually, you know what? We could take a quick look.
I told everybody how they dirtied us. That we didn't get the original. We didn't get this stuff because we own an office. Basically, the second that we achieved the level, and we're like, hey, so what? Because it was a leather jacket, and they're like, well, you don't get the leather jacket if you're an office owner. It only applies to the traders. Once you're an office owner, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
And so the jacket still eludes us. Someone's got one somewhere. Always wanted. Well, the numbers were insane.
Yeah, there it is, man. So so this is what we talk about this, man. The most money this office has ever made, both Neil, myself, everything trading have been on IPOs. So there it is. Somebody put up 230 grand on a market on close, probably imbalance there in Canada. So when there's reweightings, those are the kind of things you got to look for. I wasn't here on Friday, so I hope that the boys here put up some numbers, but there's 230 in Canada. There's somebody put up 71. These are the numbers that you can do, when there's these imbalances, right, that come through, and they're just big market events, and we'll look to do that again, and there you go, right? So boom, shakalaka, there goes the dynamite there, and I can tell you, the numbers that we'll try to put up on IPO days can be, 10,000x what you do on other days. So there you go, man. P&L, big time, hit the money for everybody that was trading there here at Real Trading on Friday, which exactly that's what it was there. So hopefully some good numbers being put up, and all across the board, right? There's a trader that traded in Australia and Canada, and look at this, man, all throughout Europe as well as some Canada there. Just big, huge numbers from traders that have quite frankly, huge. You know what? So that's what you got to do if you're trying to make that kind of money. So congratulations to anybody that does. You are him and or her and or they. That is how you want to be trading. So, all right, there goes. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more out here. Like no one's making 250 grand doing this on Palantir unless you took, million shares or whatever down there. I guess you don't have to take that many. But this is the kind of just easy kind of learn to trade kind of symbols here where you're picking your levels. You're trying to earn a decent, income every single day if you can, and then work on it and build higher and higher to the point where you're finally using, shares that will hopefully, be difference changers for you, which is why prop floors are pretty awesome to trade on because you can trade other people's capital, right? And you're not sort of investing your own up in there. So, but yeah, wow, $230,000 coming through. Adara, I saw you got a great interview there on Friday, so congratulations with that one. Market's starting to go a little bit, and I think we're going to throw it over to Adara. Ooh, look.
Thank you for the compliment there for that interview, and thanks again to John Ehrlichman for just being such a great guest and so fun to talk to. USO is on the move here, guys. It is worth noting. People are asking in the chat, what is the news? I don't have any obvious news on this. It is worth noting China making some comments right now that they held a military, marine, or maritime safety meeting with the U.S. last week in Hawaii. So if I get any more details from anything, I'll let you know. But that's really the only news on watch here for this USO moves. If I get anything else, I'll keep you guys posted. This is not the small cap recap. This is just because I saw a lot of people talking about it, so I thought I'd address it. TGHL is our first small cap name here. This is GrowHub. Worth noting here, they are in the software space. Market cap here of $47 million. Float here of 12.72 million. So this could be overall software strength. HUPC pulling back a bit, but Hub Cybersecurity is one to watch. We know the cybersecurity space is in focus. We had some cybersecurity earnings last week, and we've got more this week with Palo Alto Networks reporting after the bell on Tuesday and CrowdStrike after the bell here on Wednesday. You've got a $590,000 market cap here for HUBC, so small market cap there for Hub Cybersecurity. Last but not least here, this one was on our morning watch list here. Volato Group, SOAR, they announced a large, more than 100% increase in their annual recurring revenue late last week. No news that I could find for them today. Got a $12 million market cap, 27 million share float, 8.5% short float for SOAR. This is another name that has rallied in the past, so it is what we call a repeat offender. Back to you.
Thanks, Adara. And halted down now and should open up in a matter of seconds is Virgin Galactic. Volatility halt, obviously. After spiking close to $9, the tap is basically flat. So it's 768 halt, 768 it's indicating for an open. It just opened pretty much exactly where it said. I think maybe off by 1 cent or so, and then heading a little bit lower. So still 22% to the upside, but Virgin Galactic giving it back. The exuberance going into the SpaceX IPO, leaking its way to this potential squeeze name. But there's no fundamental change in their business just because another company is going public. If anything, there's more money that needs to go other places. And now you're gonna, we just hit the halt? I thought I saw it just bounce off the halt band. But it was tough to see there. So with just another flash down, Virgin Galactic getting shellacked a little bit here. Still up 13%, but looks like the sell-off is really starting to come in. Watch out for some other maybe space-related names if this is starting to give it up. Like look at Rocket Lab today, down 12% and still going lower. What's another one? Sidhu as well. Sidus down 9%. So a lot of these space names really starting to come in here. You could be looking at NASA, I suppose, or USO, a couple of the ETFs, which have been doing so well recently. But NASA down 8%. That's getting smoked. Yikes.
Okay, I took like maybe 1/10 of a unit, not, bless you, not even on space. It just came into $7, but yeah, that move off the halt, nah. So we're gonna get out right there on Virgin Galactic and just continue to say what we've been doing about these space names. I wanted to try it at 7. The only problem was there was the trade at 7. That's why we wrote it down, the 200 period moving average. It's broke through, so that, breaking through on a halt interesting. So we take a little bit of a shot there, as most of these sort of high-flying names today, including even my boy Palantir right here, we might as well, I mean, I might as well just get out at this point and think about regrouping on Palantir. I have 1% left. I'm just going to offer this all out right now. It doesn't even matter. I'm just going to take it out at 20. There it is. End of the trade right now on PLTR for, like I just said, 3.5x, like sort of the goal that we put out for ourselves. So, we're going to take that, the only trade we've had on there, and a little bit on SpaceX. I lost 1% on SpaceX, what we made on Palantir. So I think that's pretty good risk management anyways at that point. So we'll just continue to watch out for that. All right, someone's favorite streaming name would not be their favorite today if they have some money invested in it. And there it is. Oh, thank you so much for that one. Yeah, man, we could put on that Iceman glove, and we've got now those diamonds. I mean, look, that's what it takes. We've talked about this. It's a completely different market right now. You can get outsized winners, and that's what we've had, on a play like that there today with Palantir. So thank you so much for that super chat. Keep them coming up as we're here all day, except for 11 to 2, where you're going to have the professor and one half of Katina Wilson Capital, Joe Wilson, will be there today to bring you guys through the midday. And I want to say big thanks to Joe for holding fort with Neil there on Friday, and it was always a good day with Joseph. So I just saw SMR. Actually, I actually have a warning, and it just didn't. It's right here. I'll show you on my chart here, on a 5-minute chart for SMR. I put this a while ago at $12, and I didn't rearm it, so it didn't come in. I'm talking about eSignal. So I didn't rearm it there at $12, and that's exactly where it came in today. So that should have been a trade for me down there at 12 on SMR. I told the story, like this weekend, people were asking me, like, what's going on in the market? And I said, maybe a little overheating in the AI space, but someone's going to have to power it. And I think nuclear has a good opportunity here to get going. And, you never know. You got Oklo last week with the president, or maybe a week and a half ago, something like that, came out and was putting some money into some of these names. So we did see a little bit of a move higher. We did see a big move higher as well in IBM recently off of some good talk. Wow, IBM really faded today, though. What the hell?
Well, they all did.
340 when we first started talking about it, all the way down to 310, 308. So you're still up 6 right now, but there we go, downside. And then another name that was starting to go today as well was Microsoft, and that's kind of just not doing a whole heck of a lot here, but not bad for MSFT right now, up 2 and a bit, breaking through that 460, a nice little look. Maybe if we take 464, we can get long on Microsoft.
Back.
You
cannot
you
stop this silly thing. It's spectacular. Dell's now 10% and back into the highs. Again, you just really can't stop this stock. We've gone a very long time without actually even talking about Nvidia. Nvidia's up 5 points and is also broken.
Yes, wow.
Pretty clean. So Nvidia looking absolutely fantastic as well. You can say it's boring. You can say it has a lot of catching up to do to AMD. So, I'm not here to tell you that I'll be doing any celebrating on this unless we see $250 on Nvidia. I want to see a number like that. Give us something a little bit more exciting, NVIDIA. 5% is fantastic. I just think it's a start. I think we can get to that 250, and we should get there. Looks like what is this AAOI everyone's asking about? Where are we here? It's another 8 points, too? Look at this off the 50 period. Oh, my goodness. The best thing about an indicator is when the stock that you're looking at respects the indicator that you like. So anyone that bounce played AAOI off the 50 period on the daily, congratulations to you. That's about as textbook as it gets. It doesn't get any cleaner than this type of a bounce, right? Liquidity grab right off the 150 and then a quick little turnaround. So I've only traded the 3 names. One of them we're still sitting in is this SoFi, basically just holding some Friday levels. Let me zoom over here. It's just riding VWAP, but if we break this consolidation, I'm just gonna hop out of it. Haven't been able to get back into IBIT just yet, as it's still sliding lower, but the pops into VWAP still could happen. And the market was just strong, so I was looking for it to get a little bit further, and we could fade that one closer to that 4060 to 4060, 4070 area for a continuation short. We got Adara at the desk with an update.
And then AAOI is applied optoelectronics for what it's worth. They're in the same sector as Lumentum, so that optical photonics type space. They also And we know that sector has been invested in by Nvidia in the past, so just worth noting there. What I wanted to talk about, though, was Microsoft, another name with a recent tie-up with Nvidia. They just announced their Surface Laptop Ultra, which, as we know, was engineered here with Nvidia. If I get more details, I'll let you know, but they're saying it's going to be available later this year. We also know we're expecting to hear more about this laptop and Nvidia tie-up at the Microsoft Build event, which kicks off tomorrow. Back to you.
Okay, interesting there. And
Microsoft.
I was just like, here's that 200 period moving average on Marvell. I mean, it just came right in. That's a level that we look at there, and we didn't do anything about it. That was $200 even. Now all the way back to 210 now for Marvell. I mean, what a great opportunity that would be for traders potentially to go short if you're looking for a name to think about. We're at the day's high again. It's already peaked out right there, and peaky blinders for Marvell. That was, even though we only had 2% left, there we go, man. And now we just leave it alone. Of course, we wrote down Palantir there at 57. That was the trade of the day. You know, if we're doing those videos, trade of the day right there. That just all the way to the upside and boom shakalaka downside. We only had 5% when all of this stuff was happening there, breaking below VWAP, always going to be a good out. And there goes Palantir back down to the downside. And unfortunately, I'm going to say a lot of these names have probably come with it, right? Oh, no, well, no, wrong. CRM holding up. I thought maybe some of these software names were coming back in. Of course, we can always look at something like the IGV, if that was ever going to be in play again here. So that would be something for us to always look at, IGV. But there's CRM, IGV. This is your sales. That was Salesforce. This is your software ETF. And of course, we talked about what names were in this, Palantirs of the world and whatnot. So we'll look to see if IGV gets going here back to the upside. And, you know, I just thought a name like IBM, that's pulled back, now trying to get going again, still up, that's 6%. Rigetti, we went out for, it was my wife's birthday on Saturday. We went to this little Italian joint, and I had some amazing carbonara, some of the best stuff I've had since we were in Rome itself. So shout out to them, and we had a great time there on Saturday night. A very, very small little restaurant, maybe has like maybe 20 seats in it, and we took 5 of them, so it was really nice to go there. And my wife had gnocchi, which was really good, and we had some wicked times there. Not cheap, but there's Rigetti. So Rigetti now up to down 1%, but up right here since we've opened this day. So there goes another quantum play again as well. And
Meta's bleeding.
Yeah, Meta. Yeah, I think I just heard probably the same thing maybe you did there. Yep. Yeah. So here we go, man. I don't know. I know there's a lot of people talked about maybe buying some Meta off of that move there, but oh, there's a headline on it? Okay.
No, I said I liked that headline from last week.
Oh, yeah, so did I, man. That was a good headline, and we really hit it long, right about this price. We hit the long on Meta at 609 last week, and that was just because it came into some levels right into here, and then all of a sudden we had this whole move up, man, live on the show. But that did not last, obviously, more than one day as Meta came right back in. And hey, look, man, we were even talking about it up here, saying that, you know, we were thinking about potentially adding. Maybe Meta's the one that broke out. Hopefully you guys didn't do it. And if you did, still don't think it's wrong. I mean, Meta's going to go through its ebbs and flows, and those glasses and everything, they're pretty hot amongst the youth. They got to make money on them somehow, and hopefully now with their subscription service, they'll be able to tie it all together a little bit. But Meta, definitely the short that hopefully some of you had. Look right off the open here. There's your 200-period moving average. So
Apple just broke the bid too.
Oh, all right. The Nasdaq's flat, which is kind of interesting, and all these stocks.
There's enough strong.
Yeah, that's
right now. I think there's enough strong that's holding us up here, but Apple, busting down off the lows. I hate to give you the bad news, but that sort of is what it is. You've got in the middle, Alphabet doing okay, but if we just flash over to what's happening with the Qs, like they're back above VWAP and going higher. So like the NASDAQ is flying. Well, you probably guessed it by now. Nvidia is up 5 points and continuing to drag everything with it. We've already talked about Dell, again, at the highs, up 10% and still flying. ARM, another name, that's back above 400 and heading back towards its highs. Like you thought this was giving it up? Apparently not. 14%, not actually at the highs yet, but it is getting close. Intel, still, it's holding up better than expected. It never really reached the 13 for the fade for me, so that'll be a little bit of a disappointment. Bitcoin's doing the exact same thing it was before. We've only traded the 3 names with Bitcoin, Palantir, and then SoFi. It was just that higher low that we played. You can argue too tight of a stop, but it broke it, so I'm out. I'm not waiting for it either to retest down here at 17.7 or maybe take another shot at this breaking out above the VWAP. And yeah, that's right, AMC. AMC did break trend. Interesting, like it broke the trend line and didn't really do much of anything with it. I paid for locates on this. See the wall at $2 right here? So for the last 15 minutes, it broke the trend line, but has been unable to break the $2 even level. So I might only take it if it breaks $2. Doesn't really give you that much room to VWAP though. You're just basically getting 5 cents to VWAP. In some ways, like a trend break is better if it's extended further, if I'm being real about it. But it could be like a quick little scalp trade there in AMC. Strong numbers out of a couple of box offices. There was a second movie outside of the one where, yeah, there's some other movie which apparently was really popular. But again, I don't know.
Okay.
Like I'm like a sci-fi nerd kind of guy. Like I'll do those big blockbusters when they're like sci-fi and like a huge fan. I love that Hail Mary was fantastic. And I'll probably be the sucker that goes to actually watch Mandalorian and Grogu.
People that went to that, I think. That's part of the
story.
Yeah,
but it's still the worst ever, I think, well, maybe, I don't want to say ever. I think it was the worst grossing Star Wars film of all time. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's an actual fact. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. Obsession, that's what I have no idea what Obsession is, but apparently
it's a horror movie directed by a 26-year-old YouTuber, and apparently it broke some kind of records, I believe, for horror. I know the budget was very small, and their box office, last time I checked, and I could totally be wrong, I believe was upwards of 600 million. So I know that it did incredibly well in the box office, especially compared to expectations.
Okay, that's pretty cool. A 26-year-old YouTuber with a low budget, okay, that makes me more interested in it. That's just cool. I like hearing a story like that. Like sometimes you get somebody coming out of nowhere. Great. I mean, I'll give that one a shot. My wife hates horror films, though.
About shorting Marvell. Not a good idea. There it goes, man. Up through 210, and there it goes, taking out new highs of the day as Marvell just continues to pump higher. I just checked the account. It's always dangerous to do that. We last got out at 218, so we'll see if we can get another bump up here for Marvell right now, starting to go upside. And then Robinhood, man. I mean, this is a name where I think it wants to go. I mean, we're hovering around VWAP right now. Good little bottom there at 86.50. We could see if Robinhood wants to continue sort of its ascent. It's had a nice, I mean, it's down today, but it's had a nice little pushback to some of these plays, that's for sure, over the last little while. So good on anybody that was able to pick something up there. But again, he asked the same question. Do you sell it at 95 again? Or are we holding it back through to see if this happens one more time? It's nice to see that although we sit here and we talk a little bit about crypto, that Marvell can go upside no matter what, but that Robinhood can continue to climb to new highs like that as well. And SoFi kind of just hanging out. It did have quite a nice move down lower there right off the open. That always makes me so nervous that people have sort of given it up. But yeah, big time rocket ship there for Marvell. And then the other one was Netflix I want to look at because they had sort of a V shape the other way around today as they made a nice move off the open into 87 and actually no real recovery at all right now on Netflix, trying to base out near 85. Miss Adara, what do you got for us?
What I have here, guys, is an update here with the Middle East. Now, I know people are getting a little sick of these headlines. They are quite numerous, but I think this one is certainly worth noting. So kind of already had a sense of this here from, or at least in Iran's opinion, from what Iran reportedly said earlier. But we know that there have been some concerns here, at least, again, within the actors that are involved, that the U.S. and Israel have coordinated here in some of these attacks. Iran actually cited this coordination as the reason that they would be pulling out of attacks, out of conversations and of discussions for a peace deal with the U.S. So given Iran's concerns about, is U.S.-Israel coordination, they said, no, we cannot discuss peace with the U.S. right now. Well, I have the latest update here. Israeli news, specifically Hayom News, so an Israeli outlet, they're reporting that an expansion of activity in Lebanon, which we know has been happening today, was coordinated with the U.S. So it sounds like, at least according to Israel, they have in fact been coordinating with the U.S. This does not necessarily bode well for the resumption of talks between the U.S. and Iran. That is, if you believe all these various state media reports. Back to you.
Yeah, and that's probably why USO's up 7% and really not showing. I mean, it's showing some signs of slowing down, but not that much. As long as this holds its strength, there would be some concerns. But you know what? There's a certain segment of the market that is doing a very good job not caring led by NVIDIA. That's the crazy thing is, remember, when we did the rundown this morning, it was everything related to Jensen Huang's keynote over the weekend, and it was Dell that was in sympathy to the upside, and ARM that was sympathy. Those are a couple of strong names in addition to NVIDIA. And then you saw some relative weakness in Intel and AMD. That's what was leading the story, and it continues to be the big theme. It looks like Virgin Galactic ended up not falling apart there.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I saw it go close enough to a second halt down and then catch a bid. So probably hit off the halt band, which ends up also being the prior day high. So Friday's highs, I like where it's bouncing, but if it doesn't get past VWAP is now exactly, almost to the penny, the initial halt down, which will be that $7.60, I believe it was $7.68. So if it doesn't get back above that, I don't want to be bottom picking this. I want it re-breaking out, get above that halt price, close above VWAP, and then Virgin Galactic looks a little bit more exciting to myself. IBIT still looks incredibly weak. Let's throw up that super chat. We just got a fun one. Well, at least an interesting one. Depends on how the stock is doing. We've got Evil Bliss.
Okay.
Happy Monday. Any thoughts on Hive? Hive blockchain. Well, half of it just got said with the whole blockchain. But you know what? No, in all seriousness, people always ask about bottom pick stocks or like things that have been trending down or that look relatively weak. And it's nice to be able to say, you don't need to have bottoms. It's already made the round of bottom. It's already made the breakout. And it's pulled back off the break, held this 370 level. And now it's in an uptrend. So pretty simple. Now, in terms of earnings, I'm not here to predict earnings. That's not what it's all about. But if you're in an uptrend going into earnings, what that affords you is the ability to pull back. Like it could give up 20% or so and still be above that breakout level of 370. That's actually more than that. That'd be more than 20%. Call it like 22, 23%. It could do that to the downside and still be above the breakout level. That's the power of getting a stock when it's in an upward momentum. So it's one of those, if I was in it, whatever. I can't say that I would. If I'm in a breakout over the 200 period moving average and it's up 30% going into earnings, I'm probably ringing the register because I don't want to get that pullback. But if I had done so, you get a chance to maybe buy a dip into support here for Hive. I believe there was another super chat up there. We can throw the other one up as well.
It's about NVIDIA, but I just, let me get this first. Okay, you got that first, let's go. Yeah, so what do we think about the NVIDIA short? No, I don't think about it because I want to go long on NVIDIA only. Wow, 220 right now, bang. Nice move up there. You don't get 4% too much on NVIDIA, as it's been like, Joe sort of coined Google as like a little bit of an ETF. I think NVIDIA is kind of like the AI ETF sort of, as it just, again, news, obviously. Yesterday with Jensen speaking and talking about, the deal with ARM there, making those new AI chips in the computer side of things. We saw ARM go to the upside there today. So I don't, looking at a chart here on a daily chart, I don't think that there's anything wrong with looking short for NVIDIA, but I mean, I'm not gonna do that. If you are gonna go short, please, I would think about a stop out there at 222 if it breaks there. But, yeah, technically speaking there, you're starting to make, that was a lower high right there. So, there's our high, there's the new lower high. You could use your 25 period moving average potentially as a place to start thinking about getting short and then give yourself about $1.50 to the upside on that, or maybe that's just a clean dollar. But yeah, I mean, this feels like there's too much momentum today. The market has broke low already and now starting to break back through VWAP. So NVIDIA could put this whole market on its back, and I'm not sure that you want to be too short of it. But I do think that that's, a great look, and traders got to take their shot. So I just want to say this because this is very similar. So Medical Marinera, I saw you say that in the chat about IREN. So I made 3.5 times daily goal as well on Palantir. So essentially, we could be done trading until, Thursday ourselves, but that's a great thing to do. Now you're trading with house money the rest of the week. Be very, very conservative, I would say, and congratulations on IREN. Again, a stock that, and I was looking at IREN here, I-R-E-N.
I guess it must have been a short.
That's what I'm saying. It's not even looking to me like it was that great, but I think that, my style would have been going long in and around here. That's the great trade right there on IREN. I mean, again, you have to be looking at it. It's not marked down for me today, but there's the move back in, gives you those bases. And if you're looking long, you could take it right there at $61 and give yourselves about 50 cents or so worth of a stop, and it gave you $2. So I don't know, Medical, if that was your trade or not, but congratulations. It's tough enough to make real money in the market. It looks like you just hit your week. So fantastic. There it is, 61.30 long. That's it, Medical Marinara, man. And I hope you learned, some of those strategies from us here, and especially something that I like to do is play off some of those levels as well. Okay, Adara, I think, has some news, and then we'll get back and see what Neil's up to.
I do have some news. I also have a sector board. Let's start here, though, with the news. Microsoft, I've talked a lot about this Microsoft Build event, and I'm going to mention it again here because I continue to see reports about what they could potentially be announcing. Now, according to The Verge, which just posted this article a couple of minutes ago, they think they are heard that Microsoft will be announcing a new reasoning model called MAI Thinking 1. So that sounds like MAI could be related to their Maya model. Also, some new image models like Copilot Super App and a developer-optimized Windows 11 experience. Again, Microsoft Build ahead of that event tomorrow. We're going to probably continue to hear reports about what we might expect, and I'll keep you guys posted as I hear new details. In the meantime, we have a very, very green energy minerals sector here. We know that as this conflict here continues to heat up with U.S., Iran, and Israel, and Iran saying they don't want to talk to the U.S. anymore, we have tons of strength here in the energy minerals sector. Tech service is also looking great. You've got Meta, Google, and Netflix pulling back along with Apple 11, but a lot of these other software plays are doing well. The aforementioned Microsoft also getting some love from Wells Fargo ahead of tomorrow's event. You've got Oracle up 5%, IBM up 7%, Palo Alto Networks up 4%, CrowdStrike up 4%. ServiceNow near day's lows and still up 7%, so great look there. Tech services electronic technology a bit more mixed here. Qualcomm and Intel both suffering here after that Nvidia presentation, likely trading lower in the opposite of sympathy. We'll call it an antipathy play. ADI, AMD, TXN, all to the downside. That being said, Nvidia, Broadcom, and Micron all incredibly strong today. Micron above that $1,000 mark. Other sectors here looking weak include health tech, retail trade, consumer durables, producer manufacturing, consumer non-durables, utilities, and non-energy minerals. Make sure to like. Make sure to subscribe. We're going to send you back over to Sean and Neil.
I just put on a new position, and it's already $1. There goes AMD. We only have 2 trades on today, AMD and Palantir. We took a little bit of a stab there at Space, but we've already made on this AMD trade infinitely more than what we lost there.
Infinitely.
Yeah, on Space. So as Space and Beyond there, it goes up to $5. This might not last that long. The spread is 40 cents. Or more here on advanced micro devices. So you kind of got to sit around. See, here we go. You got to kind of sit around and take those fills. So we just basically did that there at 5.05. And we're going to stop out at 5.07. So here we go again, man, from a winner into a loser potentially there on advanced micro devices. You can't, this is what we're talking about shorting Nvidia. Right, some of these plays, man, they just keep on going, and you got to be very, very careful as this space. Keep thinking about space as the chip names continue to rock and roll. So just be careful if you're looking over here. But yeah, lots of stuff happening right now. Microsoft unveiling new things. We heard that from Adara, and maybe AMD gets a bump on stuff like that. So just be careful. I'm stopping out at 5.07 here on AMD.
Marks, this is a good question. I just want, maybe you can clarify something here. Neil and Sean, can you please explain? I've seen lots of videos, but still confused. What does confirmation look like versus consolidation? I seem to trade chop like Amazon. So first off, there's a subjectivity to some of these terms. Consolidation, I think, is not that ambiguous. And if you can't figure out what consolidation looks like, sometimes it isn't. I wouldn't argue that Amazon has been chopped today. Amazon's been trend down. And the only time it consolidated was at VWAP, right? Where you see, it's a little choppy around the volume weighted average price, but that's still consolidation lower. Amazon's a $200 stock. So these flashes up that are like 50 to 70 cents or so, again, that can be a couple people punching long or short. It doesn't really move a lot. And I think a lot of times when people talk about consolidation, it's like, it doesn't have to be a straight line. You can consolidate in a downtrend. See the bottom here in IBIT, still making lower lows, but it is consolidating at the bottom. It's just slowing down and condensing of the tape. But that can happen in a band that goes up or down very slightly. Remember, it's just compression of price action. That's all. It doesn't actually have to be a straight line for it to be consolidating. And then confirmation is a totally different concept. That's the part that confused me. what does confirmation look like versus consolidation? Like consolidation is just the condensing in the tape. I just wasn't sure what that, let me know what that first term means. But consolidation, again, it just has to be any condensing of the tape relative to what it was doing, just say previously. And speaking of, there hasn't been much consolidation until now in Intel. I still like 113 for a short, but it's double topped at 111 now. If it gets to 117, congratulations, Intel, it'll have gone green. So it's got this nice upward trend, which I'm going to start to, it's going to draw this trend line in here. If it's not going to press to 113, then I'll allow it to be a trend break short for me. So still pressing higher, but if it does break this trend, I want to jump into the short on Intel for the first time here today. That's the only one of 4 names that I had in the list that I had not traded today.
It's $2. Now it's $2.50. Now it's getting even better here. I'm going to take a piece out on the bid, sit on this bid in the 70s, see if we get it right now for advanced micro devices. There we go, man. Huge move to the downside now on AMD, and takes them out at your 25 period moving averages. We're getting lower and lower and lower. Oh boy, man, wow. Now we're starting to get going. This day, that's turned into quite a nice day with Palantir already. Like we said, now we just add on to it. I'm feeling some kind of ways. Like this has been such a good move to the downside and been really starting to hit some of these trades. So yeah, man, I mean, it means a lot. You guys are here with us, and there's the move right back into 504 again on advanced micro devices. So we haven't traded that much today. I've traded 3 names in and out of space as fast as you can right there on very, like I said, very, very small amounts, man. And then on AMD, I was not expecting this kind of a move, so I have exited out. Right now I have less than half on of advanced micro devices, and our stop, guys, was 60 cents. I told you that we were gonna get stopped out at 507. That's where the stop is right there. So the fact that, you know, it went almost $3 there now it's going again. Hopefully it comes back in and we can start to cover a little bit more at this spot, but that's so far so good there on advanced micro devices. So yeah, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise is a good call there. How to play everything into earnings would basically just be pretty simple, man. Get out if you think it's gone a little bit too high on HPE. And I look at some of these names and I think if you're in this name down here, PCs have been super, super hot right now. We can never tell what's gonna happen at earnings. All I can do is give you the exact same advice that I did to myself. And that was, I got out of some Marvell up there at 218. We got out of some ARM, we got out of some AMD, we got out of some Intel. And it's just like, with these kind of moves higher, I would just hate to see, and look, HPE could follow the way of Dell, right? I mean, we know that there's going to be a possible huge move up, but this is already bumping up on Dell earnings. So how do you play it? Is that tonight, HPE? When are they reporting? Okay, so, how to play that would be, honestly, play with house money is always my advice, especially if you see moves like this. And it's easy to say, because you're probably doubled up, or if you've just recently got this, why not just take advantage of the 6% rate now and get a little bit out here today? So those are some little things that I would be looking at there for HPE. Think about getting some out and react maybe accordingly tomorrow if you still like it, because and I always go back to this. SanDisk on earnings went down to $1,000 where we wrote it down as a buy, and then now it was 1,700 or 1,800. That was on earnings. It went down 20% and then caught the bid the very next day, and even actually in the after hours. So what will HPE do? Hopefully big things, but for now, we wait to see what Hewlett-Packard Enterprises comes with tonight. Never a great idea to be sitting on such a huge winner, but you guys, those that have held everything, man, if you held ARM, you're rewarded. If you held Marvell, all that stuff is a big-time reward for everybody, so congratulations.
Well, the other thing, too, to consider with them is if a lot of the move has come via sympathy,
exactly.
Like HPE's had 2 successive moves up on big-time sympathy to Dell. That's the kind of thing where if you don't like looking a gift horse in the mouth, I get it. And there's no one ever went broke taking profit at the end of the day. And that's probably one of the biggest earnings names that's going to be left. But the NASDAQ just went green, is continuing to go higher. The next one for me is going to be, if Intel either breaks this channel. If the market continues to press and Intel can't break that high, then it's going to be this trend break. Bitcoin is barely off the low, so I can't even say I'm going to short that at VWAP because it's not even close yet. Let's go over to the desk. We've got Money Talks with Adara. That's the right one.
Here's the US dollar. It is still trading more or less within the range that we've seen over the last basically 2 weeks now. We briefly broke below that range on Friday to end the month of May, but starting June with a nice push to the upside, up about just under 0.5% on the day right now for the DXY. High of the session, which is currently around what we're trading, that's going to be around 99.35. Now, it's worth noting here for the DXY in terms of economic data, we're going to get some later in the week. In terms of today's economic data, you got a slightly higher than expected ISM manufacturing print at 10 a.m. and then at 9:45 a.m. slightly lower than expected S&P manufacturing print. We're going to get some Fed speak throughout the week, including some Fed speakers tomorrow, as well as JOLTS job openings tomorrow morning. Then on Friday, you're going to get the biggest economic data day of the week, I believe, with unemployment and non-farm payrolls, both bright and early at 8:30. Let's talk about the CME Fed Watch tool. 99% chance we do not get any rate changes in June. That meeting now is just about 2 weeks away. July, 91% chance of no change. So very unlikely things are going to change in any way, at least at these next two meetings. But in December, we're once again starting to see just a very, very tight majority of participants expecting a 25 basis point rate hike. This June meeting is going to be the first under Kevin Warsh, the new Fed chair. So we're going to have to wait and see how things unfold with that in mind. We're going to send you back over to Sean and Neil. Do make sure to like and subscribe.
Always. Thank you, Adara. We got E in the chat and keep your eyes on snow. There's another one. Oh my goodness. How do we we haven't even talked about Snowflake. This is the problem with the market. It's like you have a stock go up 30% on earnings, and within 2 or 3 sessions, it's like an afterthought because Dell went parabolic and ARM went parabolic and Palantir went, I mean, not this parabolic. It's just there's so many things that have gone ham that it's easy to forget that Snowflake just came all the way back and is now testing 52-week highs. That is absurd, as they like to say. We just talked about ringing registers. Another 9 points today, and this absolutely looks like program buying. Like, look at how linear this is. It's just so nice, easy to draw a line of fit and all that good stuff. So congratulations if you got Snowflake as another software name that's able to get a good bounce. I know the cybersecurity names in general have been really good. Just going to throw one out here if we can, because CrowdStrike, that is a nice looking bull flag, another 4 points for CrowdStrike. Maybe these guys are going to do a split. Never talk about them as a split candidate, but it's now crossed $750. And the thing about it is, if you like something that's on the dip buy, sometimes you got to buy it when everyone hates it. And that's the reality. When everyone was throwing out some of those software names, if you just picked 1 or 2 that you liked, obviously cybersecurity probably a little safer than some of the other software names, let's be real. I thought it's easier to have pick bottoms on CrowdStrike than it was on like ServiceNow. Granted, I think that's a little bit easier for anybody. I think same thing true with Palo Alto as well. But hey, you buy something good, you're rewarded. Man, this stock has gone so far. I'm actually considering whether I want to trim some of that. Like, it's almost a double up from that 400 level, which just seems insane, but it's actually true. All right, the market's still bouncing here. And Intel hasn't broken that local high yet, so it's still very much this current trend line that will be breaking. If it takes out the top, then it'll probably form a new, more ridiculous trend that we can fade into. So we'll see. I'm looking for Intel as the next trade because Bitcoin, I mean, for all the exuberance today, Bitcoin is just sitting here at the lows. We might actually see that 70,000 break this week, the way things are going.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
At this rate, it's almost inevitable, the way it's trading.
Yep, for sure. I think Bitcoin, yeah, it's not great. I bought it at 66. I might just flash out of that, man. I don't love Bitcoin anymore. That is for sure. But I haven't loved it in a while. But just thought that was a decent price, 66. But it went up to 80 and stopped on a dime. So we're basically flat on AMD now. Yeah, we were shorted, took that profit down there, then it breaks higher through, and we got 5. This is how crazy it does on a break. We get 5. I can check the price exactly. We got 507. Well, it's a bunch of different prices, but we got some at 29s and some at 49s. So on a 507 break, we wind up getting 50 cents of slippage there. So putting us still up on AMD, but obviously we gave a little bit back there, and that's why you want to make sure that you always have your stop orders and maybe trailing stops, or else you get hit by one of these glizzies right there in your face. But that doesn't matter because we're going to figure out what we got for lunch, man. The lunch man is back here today after taking a day off on Friday. We're going to be back to talk about it. It's Thai. So the symbol is, the flag is Thai today. I saw some people in the chat saying, bet it's chicken, bet it's potatoes. Today is Pad Gra Pao beef. So it's Thai basil stir fry. It's been actually pretty legit. Sometimes a little oily.
We've had this before.
We've had this many times before. Steamed rice should be good. Sautéed seasoned veg we like. And then a cucumber salad, which has been good before as well. So it's a very eclectic menu this week. That's the tip I'll give you for what's for lunch. Should be a few interesting things. All I saw were the flags. So I don't want to cheat and see what's coming early, but should be a good week for some lunch around.
I saw
here.
one of the flags.
So yeah, so it should be good. I don't think there's any U.S. or Canadian ones on there. So lots of good action here. My son yesterday, he said, hey, can I go and make you guys, he's feeling like tacos. So I said, sure, man. Like, we're out all day. Go ahead and make it. So, of course, he's 24 years old. I give him the credit card, blah, blah, blah. He goes out just to Loblaws right next to where we live.
Full fork.
And then I look down and I see he spent $97. So I was like, what kind of tacos exactly will we be having? Anyways, he got this big, nice piece. I think it was flank steak or what it was.
Oh, okay.
He threw that all down.
Close.
He bought some Nespresso pods, of course, even though we already have some. Everything pickled. He pickled some onions up. He made his own avocado whip up like that. It was absolutely amazing, but an expensive dinner. Homemade there. I told him, bro, you can't, come on, man. Buy some ground beef. We could have some same kind of tacos. But that was really well done. So shout out to Baxter yesterday. And he cleaned up everything. He did absolutely everything. He's living rent-free, but I got to make him quite the chef right over there. So, yeah, he's doing it. He cleaned up, and he yells.
Pickled onions is cash.
Yeah, he did pickled onions. He did pickled a lot of things there yesterday, so it was really nice. And then he actually tells his younger siblings to do the work. He's like, yo, Baron, you got to do the dishwasher. Gia, you got to do this. And they actually listen to him. So we're having some good success on that one. But anyways, there goes AMD. But that steak was very, very tasty last night. So I only brought that up because we're having beef here today. So. But I think it's going to be more ground beef.
Well, it makes me hungry. But yeah, it was ground beef last time.
Yeah.
But we've had that a couple of times. There was the one time. I know it was a little bit iffy, but the time after that was absolutely delicious. So I'm pretty excited for this lunch. And then I did accidentally see, I think, Wednesday. So I'm not going to spoil it either. But I think I'm very excited.
Accidentally, I see that.
Well, I looked over. I happened to see the flag and usually what comes with it. So I'm excited for the lunch on Wednesday, everybody. We've got Ozan up in the chat. Can you fix the Strait of Hormuz?
I don't know. He said only I could. Yeah, I mean, I can't really fix it, Ozan. I mean, I wish I could. And I don't know what my solution would be for the Strait of Hormuz. But you could see right here that USO, I mean, come on, man. Can't we just all be friends? I mean, I don't think that logic may not work. But there goes USO up 7.5% today and at the high. So, Ozan, thank you for your kind words. If President Trump would like to ring me up, he can, and we can discuss that. But I'm sure he has much more important things to do than that and speaking to a uneducated Canadian about the oil markets right there. But it's 11 o'clock now, so you want to talk about Intel maybe?
Well, Intel, so look, Intel did this topping tail wick, and I got in, and then I realized, hey, you have a rule. This thing is screaming higher. Like screaming higher, and I said I'd wait for the break of the trend line, and I kind of broke the rule by getting in early just because I saw that topping tail wick. I'm like, oh, let's get in. Nah, it doesn't make any sense. I want the confirmation that we're breaking the trend line. This time of day, if it's that strong, let it break the trend, and I'd rather be in it a little bit later in the move than try to be catching what I think is still the front end. Intel being down 3% only tells you half the story. And it's broken the morning highs, and then you look at what the NASDAQ is doing. The NASDAQ is at the morning high. So yes, it's down 3%, but it's actually stronger than the market. And if it's stronger than the market, I got to be more strict with the entry to any short trade. It's 11. We'll be back at 2. We're going to enjoy some Thai food while we send you over to Joey Options, the professor. Go get him, boys.
Either cold trade, bro?
Home